Chapter 1234. Ci's face didn't show any emotion, but Immerse and the other two, who were familiar with Ce, were quite clear. Their young master was truly enraged this time. You. Who are you? Enchanting was frightened by the sudden entrance of Ce and the others, and she took a few steps back. Especially when she heard Ce say the word kill, Enchanting had an illusion that she had provoked a very frightening big shot. Old woman, you don't need to know who we are. Shuang chuckled and took the lead to walk over. His handsome face was covered by a long scar at the bottom of his neck, which greatly reduced his handsome face. Enchanting was so frightened that she retreated again and again. Don't talk nonsense with her, just kill this group of people. Immerse was already walking over. Immerse's legs were very slender, especially from the back. His figure and appearance were simply an existence that girls yearned for day and night. Immerse had just taken 2 steps over here, when the few burly men behind Enchanting took 2 steps back. In the next second, a sharp killing intent flashed in Immerse's eyes. In the next breath, in this airtight space, everyone only felt a gust of wind. When they came back to their senses, they saw that Immerse had already flashed past those burly men at some point in time. Everyone almost didn't notice when he made his move, and only saw those burly men suddenly spurt out a mouthful of old blood. In the next moment, the few burly men fell to the ground with their backs facing the ground. In a short while, they stopped breathing. After Immerse killed these people, he returned to Lin Wei's side. Lin Wei was the strongest among the 4 leaders, but he didn't make a move. That was because these people in front of him didn't even have the qualifications to make him make a move. Immerse stood beside Lin Wei. But he saw that Shuang had already walked over to Enchanting. Ah! You! You dared to kill them. How dare you! You! Enchanting was so scared that she couldn't form words. But Shuang was gradually approaching Enchanting. As Shuang approached Enchanting, he made tsk sounds. In the end, Shuang said to Enchanting, "You old woman, why did you have to capture our young madam? Do you think you can still live after capturing our young madam? Tsk. You already have half a foot in the coffin, yet you're still coming out to harm others." After saying that, Shuang gently pinched his chin with his slender hand and looked at Enchanting with a playful expression. Enchanting gradually retreated towards the group of girls. After retreating to a place where there was no escape, Enchanting directly knelt down in front of Shuang. "I beg you, please don't kill me. Don't kill him." When she said the last word, Enchanting suddenly grabbed a young girl beside her, and threw the young girl directly into Shuang's arms. This young girl's hands and feet were tied up, and at this moment, Enchanting had directly thrown her into Shuang's arms, causing her to be unable to stand firm. Enchanting's eyes narrowed. She suddenly jumped up and ran to the side towards the basement's entrance. This Enchanting had a bit of strength. Yunjian narrowed her eyes. She hadn't noticed it before. However, Enchanting was destined to not be able to get out of this basement's door today. Lin Wei casually flung his hand, and everyone only saw a golden light flash past. No one saw what he had flung out. They only saw Enchanting, who was running towards the basement's entrance, thinking that she was about to escape from the devil's claws, suddenly freeze. In the next second, blood spurted out from her mouth and nose, and in a short while, she directly fell to the ground and didn't make a sound. Chapter 1235. Lin Wei helped Shuang kill Enchanting. When Enchanting fell to the ground, her eyes were wide open. She could not believe that she had been killed just like that. Her best years had yet to come. Her time of enjoying life had yet to come. But now, she had disappeared from this world forever. However, Enchanting did not feel any shame at the moment of her death. She had been a human trafficker all her life. She had abducted many young girls, causing many families to be ruined. She had also caused many young girls to be defiled by men in their 50s and 60s. In the end, they were in so much pain that they wished they were dead. There were even some who could not bear such a life. In the end, they chose to end their lives in the most miserable way possible. Audiobook deserved to die. She deserved to die 10,000 times. Shuang did not care about what happened to Audiobook. Just now, Audiobook had thrown a girl at Shuang. The reason was to distract Shuang. A smart person like Shuang would not have fallen for such a trick. However, the girl that Audiobook had thrown at him was tied up. Her feet were not steady, so she almost slipped. Shuang did not know what was going on with him. He just grabbed the girl. Originally, if Shuang encountered such a situation, even if the other party was a sexy beauty with big breasts and big buttocks, he would have directly avoided them. He did not know if it was because of Ciyi's influence, but he had no interest in those sexy beauties. However, this time, the girl that Audiobook had thrown at him had a fragrant scent coming from her body. That scent was like mint. It was fresh and elegant. It gave people a feeling that they would unconsciously want to pull this girl into their arms. Therefore, Shuang pulled the girl into his arms. Under the dim yellow light in the basement, Shuang was able to see the girl's appearance clearly. She was a beautiful girl who looked like a doll. She was about 16 or 17 years old. Her long and narrow eyelashes fluttered up and down. Just by looking at her, people could not help but want to cherish her. Not to mention men. This was the first time Shuang had seen a girl who looked like a doll. The girl's body also had a fragrance. It was a light mint smell. The smell was very light, but it was enough to make Shuang stunned. While Shuang was still in a daze, Ce had already walked in front of Yunjian. Although his facial expression was the same as usual, Yunjian could feel that Ce was really angry this time. Yunjian stood up from the wooden stool. Just as she stood up, she was pulled into Ce's embrace. Even though he knew that she would be fine, he was still worried when he found out that Yunjian had disappeared. Xiao Jian. What should I do with you? I really want to rub you into my bone marrow and make you follow me for the rest of my life, never leaving me again. Ce caressed Yunjian's long black hair as he spoke softly. Yunjian's heart was touched. In Yunjian's previous life, she had always been alone when she went on missions. Now, Ce's words warmed her heart. She reached out and hugged Ce back. The matter here was left to Immerse and the other two. Ever since Ningxia was locked up here with Yunjian, she had not woken up. Of course, this was a stroke of luck because Ningxia had one less bad memory in her life. In the end, Immerse contacted the local police in Serene City and arrested all the human traffickers led by Audiobook. This group of innocent girls had been saved. Shuang, Immerse, and Lin Wei were on their way back to the Ning family. Shuang took 2 steps before he turned to look at the girl who had followed him all the way. The girl was holding an old cardboard box. When she saw him turn to look at her, she stopped and kept a 5-meter distance from him while looking at Shuang innocently. Shuang rubbed his forehead and turned to ask her, "What do you want?" The girl was the one who had been pulled into Shui Ying's arms just now. Chapter 1236. When the girl's words fell, Shuang almost missed a step. Shuang finally hugged Immerse, who was standing beside him, and steadied his footing. Cough cough. It was the first time Shuang heard such words. He choked when he swallowed and immediately coughed twice. Sure, he's willing. Immerse, who had been silent all this time, suddenly reached out and patted Shui Ying's back, and then said to the girl with a smile. After saying that, Immerse smiled evilly. It was rare for him to joke like today. After saying that, Immerse pulled away Shui Ying's hand that was around his shoulder, and then turned around and left with Lin Wei. Halfway through, Immerse also left Shuang with a sentence that people didn't understand. don't bully a little girl." After saying that, Immerse smiled evilly, which was extremely inconsistent with his previous calm appearance. After smiling evilly, Immerse curled his lips and left with Lin Wei. Shuang, who was standing in place, simply wanted to grab Immerse and Lin Wei and beat them up. They actually left him behind. However, Shuang didn't dare to beat Lin Wei, let alone Immerse. Senator Immerse and Lin Wei had the best relationship, perhaps because their personalities were similar. Shuang dared to guarantee that if he went to beat Immerse, Lin Wei would definitely intervene. He felt that he had become a loner. Just as he was thinking this, Immerse and Lin Wei had already left quickly. Shui Ying's face darkened into a line. He turned his head and glared fiercely at the girl. It was all because of her. If it weren't for her, how could Immerse and Lin Wei, these two ungrateful guys, leave him behind? Shuang turned his eyes and glared fiercely at the girl. The girl was so scared by Shui Ying's glare that she shrank her thin body. Shuang looked at the girl's thin body and lowered his eyes. In the end, he still withdrew his sharp edge and turned to walk towards the Ningxia house on the main road. After taking 2 steps, the girl immediately followed. As long as Shuang stopped, the girl also stopped. She didn't seem to dare to come forward. From beginning to end, she was about 5 meters behind Shuang. In the end, Shuang touched his forehead and simply let her follow him all the way. The Royal Nightclub closed down overnight. Not only the Royal Nightclub in Serene City, but all the Royal Nightclub chains in Z Nation declared bankruptcy overnight. This incident would cause a huge uproar in Z country, especially among those big bosses who frequented nightclubs. However, no one was able to find out why the Royal Nightclub closed down. Of course, these were all things that happened later. At this moment, Yun Jian and Ce had just arrived at the entrance of Ningxia. Ningxia had already been brought back to the Ning family by Ce's men. Yun Jian's explanation was that Ningxia had drunk some alcohol at the Royal Nightclub and fainted because she couldn't hold her liquor. In fact, Ningxia did not know how to drink. So Ningxia's mother helped Ningxia back to her room to rest. Yun Jian and Ce stood at the gate of their house in Ningxia and looked at the stars in the sky. After a while, Immerse and Lin Wei came back. Not long after Immerse and Lin Wei entered the house, Yun Jian stood there and saw Shuang walk in with a sullen face. Behind Shuang was a 16 or 17-year-old girl. The girl was holding a cardboard box in her hands. She lowered her head and looked very shy. "You're still following me." Shuang touched his forehead and shouted somewhat impetuously, "Damn, I'm not going to care about this anymore." Shuang then entered the house. After entering the house, Shuang was reluctant to leave, so he hid behind the door and narrowed his eyes to look over. He saw the girl holding the cardboard box and looking at Yun Jian timidly. Yun Jian looked her up and down and then asked, "What's your name?" Yun Jian had seen this girl in the basement before. She was also abducted by Auntie Hong. Chapter 1237. As Si Luo spoke, she hugged the box tightly with her bony hands and lowered her head, looking a little scared. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and stared at Si Luo again. She scanned Si Luo from head to toe and pursed her lips. "Aren't you going home?" As she spoke, Yun Jian's eyes flashed with a sharp light. She seemed to have a new idea. Si Luo didn't look up after hearing Yun Jian's words. She shrank back and shook her head. "I don't have a home anymore, then are you willing to follow me?" Yun Jian quickly continued. Yun Jian's words made Si Luo look up immediately. Someone was willing to take her in. Is this real? Si Luo held the box and pushed it into her arms. Then, she stared at Yun Jian with her expressive eyes. Her voice trembled. "Can you take me in? Can you really take me in?" Si Luo looked like she couldn't believe that Yun Jian was really willing to take her in. Her eyes widened as if they could speak. Yunjian nodded and narrowed her eyes. Sure, but I have a condition. I agree. I agree. As long as you can feed me and let me live, I'll do anything. Si Luo almost knelt down in front of Yunjian in gratitude. If one were to take a closer look, they could clearly see that Si Luo's clothes were in tatters and were extremely dirty. Her face was also covered in dirt, and she looked like a little beggar. If it wasn't for her doll-like face and her dirty clothes that couldn't hide her minty scent, she really did look like a refugee who escaped from a beggar's nest. Yunjian only narrowed her eyes slightly when she saw Si Luo. Of course, she wouldn't take anyone in for no reason. Instead, wait. An abrupt male voice interrupted what Yunjian was about to say. Yunjian raised her brows. She looked at Ce, who was standing beside her and looking at her dotingly. She turned around and saw Shuang, who had been hiding behind the door, walking back. Young madam, ahem. Shuang coughed when he realized that he had walked out rashly. Yunjian narrowed her eyes, but Shuang continued, Young madam, she followed me back. Yunjian immediately understood what Shuang meant. You want to take her in? It was obvious that Yunjian had taken a liking to Si Luo. Other things aside, Si Luo looked frail and weak, but Yunjian could tell that she was a good seedling despite her frail appearance. Someone who could catch Yunjian's eye naturally had their own strengths. Take Si Luo for example. Yunjian was sure that if she trained her personally, a good seedling like Si Luo would definitely become a high-ranking member of the Kosha mercenaries. She might even surpass Snake Lizard in time. But Shui Ying's sudden appearance was, yes, young madam. Shuang didn't hesitate at all. All right. Yunjian didn't force him. After agreeing, Yunjian turned to look at Si Luo. She narrowed her eyes and said to Si Luo, if you feel that it's not good to follow him, you're welcome to look for me anytime. Yunjian winked at Si Luo. It was rare for her to be so cold and arrogant. Si Luo hugged the cardboard box and shrank back, but she nodded fervently. Chapter 1238. When Yunjian saw Shuang beckoning to Si Luo was obviously afraid of him. Or perhaps, Si Luo was afraid of the long scar on Shui Ying's neck. In spite of it, Si Luo mustered his courage and went to Shuang with the cardboard box. Watching Si Luo and Shuang enter Ningxia house, Yunjian could not help smiling. What an interesting girl. No matter how interesting she is, she's not as attractive to me as my Xiao Jian. Ce looked at Yunjian with squinted eyes, his hand gripping Yunjian's hand tightly. His words made Yunjian blush again. She patted Ce's playful palm lightly and turned to enter Ningxia house. Si Luo's arrival was a nuisance to Ningxia Mama as she had to prepare another room for Si Luo. It was fortunate that Ningxia house was not short of rooms. Si Luo had been standing in Ningxia house with his precious cardboard box, but when he saw that Ningxia Mama was preparing a room for him, he walked out with the cardboard box. Thank you. Don't trouble yourself, I can sleep at the bridge nearby for the night. Si Luo was about to leave the house with the cardboard box as he spoke. Yunjian raised a brow at the sight. A certain nerve in the bottom of his heart was fiercely touched. In her past life, Yunjian was abducted when she was young. She was abducted when she was 5. She was supposed to be a 5-year-old child who lay in her parents' arms and did not have to think about anything. However, Yunjian only remembered that her parents in her past life had lost her when she was 5. Before she was abducted and joined in Hun group, Yunjian had been a beggar for a period of time after she was separated from her parents. It was not an exaggeration to call her a beggar. Everyone had a past that was not glamorous. Everyone had grown up from nothing. She was only 5 years old then and had lost her parents' protection. Yunjian went out to beg in the day and slept at the bridge or even the dog hole at night. If a kind-hearted person gave her a newspaper to warm her up in the cold night, it was already a blessing. That kind of life was simply not something a human could live through, but under the premise that one's life was not guaranteed, it was already considered very good. She had seen Si Luo's attire just now, and what Si Luo had just said. What kind of past could make a young girl who was in the middle of puberty so calmly say, "I can sleep on the nearby bridge for a night"? Countless teenagers who were sheltered by their parents flaunted their prowess, but who would have thought that some people who lived at the bottom of society even had problems eating enough food to survive? Yun Jian's heart skipped a beat when she saw Si Luo walking out of the house. She instinctively wanted to speak up. Unexpectedly, another male voice was faster than her. Shuang, who was standing beside Si Luo, grabbed Si Luo's hand. He did not mind that her hand was dirty. Shuang forced herself to calm down and growled at Si Luo. "You are my disciple now. My disciple is sleeping at the bridgehead. If word of this gets out, where am I supposed to hide my face?" Shuang did not want to reveal his identity. He grabbed Si Luo and shouted at him, not minding that Si Luo's hand was dirty. Mo Sen and Lin Wei had already gone to sleep. If the two of them were standing there, they would definitely be shocked by Shui Ying's words. Shuang was the infamous shameless king internationally. He represented an Han group in all kinds of activities. Since when did he care about his face? He was even rumored to be the most shameless person in the world. And today, he even emphasized that where was he supposed to hide his face? Pfft, don't make me laugh. Chapter 1239. Si Luo's hand was held by Shuang. She looked up at Shuang from a close distance, but when she saw the long scar on Shui Ying's neck, she shrank back and lowered her head. She was afraid. This was normal. The scar on Shui Ying's neck was very deep, and it was because of this deep scar that Shui Ying's looks were greatly reduced. In terms of appearance, Shuang was the most handsome among the four leaders. Of course, even so, Shuang was the most handsome among the four leaders, but because of this scar, many beauties dared not get close to him. You don't have to stay at the bridge. From today onwards, you won't have to live the same life as before. Yun Jian's voice was heard in the next breath. As soon as Yun Jian's voice was heard, Si Luo looked up at Yun Jian gratefully. "Don't look at me like that. I'm only helping you because there's something to gain." Yun Jian did not say the last part of her sentence. She, Yun Jian, was not a good person. If there was nothing to gain, to be honest, she would not help Si Luo even if he knelt down in front of her. Don't blame her for being ruthless. This was how the world worked. If you were not strong, no one would pity you. Thank you. Si Luo thanked him anyway. If one looked closely, one could even see a trace of tears in her eyes. Yun Jian nodded and did not say anything else. In the end, Ningxiao's mother prepared a room for Si Luo. Ningxiao's family was rich, so their rooms were villas with toilets in every room. It was like a hotel. Ningxiao's mother pitied Si Luo and even taught him how to run the bathwater. Yun Jian stood aside and watched as Ningxiao's mother taught Si Luo. In the end, Si Luo took a hot shower and changed into Qing Yu's clothes. Si Luo and Qing Yu were about the same height, but Si Luo was skinnier than Qing Yu. He was so skinny that only his bones were left. Although Qing Yu's clothes were a little too big for Si Luo, it was just right. When they were done, Shuang and the rest had already gone to bed. The next day, Yun Jian woke up early in the morning as she planned to board a large cruise ship from Ning City's harbor to the boat island. When Yun Jian woke up, Qing Yu and Si Luo were already up. When Yun Jian came downstairs, she saw Qing Yu and Si Luo chatting together. They seemed to be getting along well. Si Luo had washed her dusty body yesterday and changed into Qing Yu's clothes. Her beggar-like appearance had completely disappeared. Even Yun Jian couldn't help but take a few more glances at Si Luo. After washing up, the faint mint scent on Si Luo's body became even stronger. Her doll-like face was naturally beautiful. Even Ningxiao's mother couldn't help praising her. What a delicate little girl. In the morning, Ningxiao's mother, Qin Yiru, and Mrs. Yang made breakfast together. When Ce, Shuaiying and the other two came down, Shuaiying and the other two were so shocked by Si Luo's current appearance that they stopped in their tracks. Shuaiying, in particular, did not expect Si Luo to be so pretty after changing into a white dress. Ce was unfazed. No matter how pretty a girl was, she could not beat his Xiao Jian. Ce was not even in the mood to look at Si Luo. He went straight to Yun Jian and held her hand. Wow! What a pretty Jijia! When Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya came down from upstairs, Xiao Yunju yelped when he saw Si Luo and wanted to run to her. At the same time, Xiao Yunju opened his arms wide like he was asking for a hug. Hello, Jijia. Xiao Yunju was halfway there when he saw his elder sister, Yun Jian, standing not too far away. Xiao Yunju suddenly felt like he was lifted up. Chapter 1240. Little brat, have you eaten breakfast? Shuang lifted Xiao Yunju up in front of Yun Jian as if his life depended on it. Then, when he saw Xiao Yunju looking up at him, he spoke in a muffled voice. Xiao Yunju shook his small body, but realized that Shuang had a death grip on him. Xiao Yunju pouted and looked at Ce unwillingly. Then, he complained to Ce, Big brother Ce, Big brother Wang Er is bullying me. He won't let me down. I'm in pain. Big sister will be sad if she sees this. Xiao Yunju knew how to talk. He knew that Ce cared about Yun Jian, so he purposely said this. The meaning of this sentence aside, just the mention of Big brother Wang Er was enough to make Shuaiying's eyes darken. When he heard Xiao Yunju call him Big brother Wang Er, Shuaiying had the urge to run to Yulong mainland and kill Adam. That rascal had given him the image of Big brother Wang Er in front of Xiao Yunju. Even now, Xiao Yunju refused to change the way he addressed him. Sensing Ce's murderous glare, Shuang quickly let go of Xiao Yunju's hand. Xiao Yunju, who was let go, did not run to Si Luo. Instead, he ran back and reached out to hold Duanli's hand. Little chestnut, we can go to the beach later. Yay yay yay. Yun Jian, who stood not too far away, merely smiled at the sight without losing her composure. Shuang, Immerse, and Lin Wei did not plan to go to the beach. They had already gone to the beach, especially Hawaii. They did not want to go there anymore. Si Luo also said that he did not want to go to the beach. To Si Luo, her previous life was worse than the lowest class of society. Now that she was suddenly asked to go on a holiday, how could she accept it? Before setting off, Yun Jian stood at the entrance. She glanced sideways into the house and saw Shuang standing not far away. Immerse said to Shuang in a rare teasing tone, "Didn't you say you were going to the beach?" It was rare for Immerse to tease someone. With this tease, Shuang was ridiculed to the point of not being able to reply. Finally, Shuang replied, "I don't want to go at the last minute." Isn't that normal? Shuaiying's words made Immerse smile. It's very normal. Even Lin Wei put on a fake smile and said these 3 words. Ning City Cruise Pier. Ningxiao's mother knew the people who worked at the cruise terminal, so she bought some better tickets for Yun Jian and the others through the back door. Ningxiao's mother did not come with them, but she got Ningxia to accompany Yun Jian and the rest to Zhou Island. Mrs. Yang's family was the only one who came along, followed by Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian, Yun Yi, Qing Yu, Xiao Yunju, and lastly, Yun Jian and Ce. There was a lot of traffic when they boarded the ship. There was a queue to be checked before boarding the ship. Zhou Island was no doubt a tourist destination, so there were a lot of people. It took more than an hour to queue up and board the ship. There were a lot of people in the queue. Ce took advantage of his height to hug Yunjian the whole time, protecting Yunjian in his arms. He did not let the people around them step on her or touch her body because of the crowd. When they boarded the ship, their seats were fixed. They used their tickets to secure their seats. At least, this was the case on the cruise. Yunjian and Ce found their seats and sat down. When Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian found their tickets, they happened to see a couple sitting there. When Qin Yiru saw this, she glanced at Gu Junjian, then went up to them and said politely, "Hello, may I know if you're sitting in the wrong seat? Our seats are here." Chapter 1241. A Western-looking woman in her mid-20s who was dressed skimpily with her shoulders exposed was holding the arm of a man with a crew cut who looked like a ruffian. The man, who looked about the same age, was sitting on the seats that should have belonged to Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian. This very revealing woman was the one who yelled at Qin Yiru. Let's not talk about the woman's tone to Qin Yiru. Let's talk about the last sentence she said to Qin Yiru, "We'll be at Zhou Island soon anyway." It would take at least 45 minutes to get to Zhou Island from the pier in Ning City. This was under the condition that there was no obstruction. Zhou Island was an island in the middle of the ocean. In other words, it was a floating piece of land in the ocean. It was a small island. Zhou Island was located on a small island and was surrounded by the ocean. Moreover, Zhou Island was surrounded by the ocean. People who came here for tourism could understand the true meaning of the ocean. However, from Ning City to Zhou Island, there was a large ship carrying hundreds of people. It would take at least 45 minutes to sail slowly from Ning City to Zhou Island. If there was an unexpected situation on the way, it would take at least an hour to sail. Even so, there were still a lot of tourists coming. As a result, there were not enough ships sailing between Ning City's pier and Zhou Island. Therefore, there was a situation where people sat according to their seats. Some people could not get a seat and could only stand all the way. Ningxia Mama had friends at Ning City's pier, so it was not surprising that she could get a seat. Obviously, these two young people did not get a seat, so they shamelessly occupied Qin Yiru and Gu Yunjian's seats. This woman's words made Qin Yiru frown. Although Qin Yiru did not like to look for trouble, she was not the kind of person who would be led by the nose by others and not dare to say half a word. Therefore, when Qin Yiru heard this woman's words, she refuted on the spot, "This beautiful woman, this seat was reserved when we bought the ticket, so please make way." Qin Yiru also raised her voice. After all, to Qin Yiru, she was weak, but when something that should have belonged to her was taken away by someone else and the other party had no kinship with her, she would still ask for it back. "I say, old woman, are you crazy? Will we die if we sit on this seat?" The woman was still aggressive. The most infuriating thing was that as soon as the woman's aggressive words fell, the man sitting next to the woman peeled a grape and personally fed it to the woman. The man glared at Qin Yiru and then comforted the woman, "Honey, don't mind them. I think this woman is going through menopause. You guys." Qin Yiru listened as the couple in front of her became more and more ridiculous. As long as she was a human, she would definitely get angry. Gu Junjian just held Qin Yiru's hand and wanted to reason with them, but a beautiful hand held Qin Yiru down first. Yunjian took 2 steps towards them and held Qin Yiru's hand. Then, she said to Gu Junjian, "Dad, bring Mom to our seat first." Yunjian had already changed her way of addressing Gu Junjian as Dad. When Gu Junjian heard Yunjian's words, he decisively pulled Qin Yiru's hand and walked towards Yunjian and Ce's seat. At this moment, Yunjian crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked at the young couple. She didn't say anything. She just stared at the young couple with her eyes. The young couple originally acted as if nothing had happened and they were minding their own business. However, after being stared at by Yunjian for a long time, the woman began to panic and scold Yunjian. Are you crazy? What are you looking at? Just as the woman said this, Yunjian suddenly strode forward. Under the shocked gazes of the surrounding passengers, she suddenly reached out and grabbed the woman's hair. Before the woman could react, she dragged her hair down from her seat and threw her far away. The woman was not prepared at all and was directly smashed to the ground, rolling a circle on the ground. However, Yunjian suddenly clapped her hands and stepped on the woman's seat. Then, she said to the man. Chapter 1242. The man was shocked by Yunjian's sudden action of pulling the woman out of her seat and throwing her to the ground. By the time he came back to his senses, Yunjian had already stepped on the woman's seat and spoke to him in a cold tone. The man gulped. He didn't immediately stand up and give up his seat, nor did he immediately help his girlfriend who was thrown to the ground by Yunjian. Instead, he was fascinated by Yunjian's beautiful and delicate face. He didn't notice it earlier, but now the man saw it. The couple actually had such a delicate daughter. Wasn't this girl too beautiful? He was almost mesmerized. The man swallowed hard. Today, Yunjian was wearing a very short black top, and this black top was form-fitting. It wrapped around Yunjian's full upper body incisively and vividly. The neckline was a little low, and Yunjian's breasts were very full. At this moment, they were wrapped in a tight shirt, coupled with her slender waist and beautiful appearance. As long as it was a man, he would be attracted to her. The man didn't care about his girlfriend at all. He was completely attracted to Yunjian, and he couldn't even speak at this moment. Even after hearing Yunjian's threatening words, the man still had an indescribable desire to tease Yunjian. The man didn't care about his girlfriend at all. He even flipped his crew cut very handsomely and was about to look at Yunjian with an expression that he thought was charming to death. At this moment, the deck of the ship suddenly shook twice. The entire large cruise ship suddenly shook violently twice, as if it had encountered a big wave. The entire ship swayed. With this shake, the man couldn't stand still. After being swayed back and forth, he suddenly realized that Yunjian was standing in front of him, and that pair of full breasts were swaying in front of him. The man suddenly had an idea. He suddenly wanted to use the force of the ship's shaking to pretend that he had accidentally jumped into Yunjian's chest. The man thought so. In the next moment, he planned to jump into Yunjian's arms as if he was using the rocking force of the boat. Just as the man was about to do so, he had already pounced on Yunjian. But when he was 30 centimeters away from Yunjian, he saw a large palm suddenly appear on Yunjian's slender waist. The large hand grabbed Yunjian's slender waist and pulled Yunjian over. The man was stunned, but at this moment, he had already fallen towards the place where Yunjian was just now. If he continued to fall, he might just fall over. However, it was unrealistic for him to fall because when the man fell towards Yunjian's position, a slender thigh entered his sight. She lifted her slender leg from the ground and kicked the man's abdomen in a way that couldn't be seen by the naked eye. The man saw with his own eyes that the slender leg kicked his abdomen, and then his body flew out dozens of meters away. At this moment, the man felt that the breakfast he had eaten this morning was about to be kicked out of his mouth. The moment the man was sent flying, he saw that in the distance, the person who had kicked his slender leg was holding onto the girl he had tried to get close to, but couldn't even touch the corner of her clothes. The people standing around the cruise ship were frightened by Ci's actions. Everyone looked up and saw Ci's dark face. He hugged Yunjian, and his sharp eyes looked as if he wanted to kill the man. Chapter 1243. It was rare for Ce to get angry. Ever since he met Yunjian, however, the number of times he lost his temper had gradually increased. Outside of society, there would always be some people who thought they were very powerful, and then they would point fingers at others. It was also men who wanted to hook up with pretty girls when they saw them. Most girls who were hooked up with would be seduced by a few compliments. Of course, it was impossible for something like this to happen to Yunjian. Ce was ruthless and the man was about to vomit the food in his stomach from Ce's kick. Ce looked away and back at Yunjian. "Don't let me see you again." Scram. Ce spat softly. His tone was cold but his gaze was now on Yunjian. He was speaking to the man just now but his gaze on Yunjian was filled with indulgence. The man could not get up for a long time, dawdling on the floor for a while before he finally got up reluctantly. Oddly enough, the man had just gotten up from the floor and was about to run over to the person in charge of the cruise ship to seek justice for him and blackmail Ce. The painful kick just now was not a waste of his effort. However, once the man got up, he did not feel any discomfort coming from him. How was that possible? How painful was Ce's kick just now? It was so painful that he could barely stand up. Why was he not feeling any discomfort after he got up? While the man frowned, wondering what had happened to him, Ce had already pulled Yunjian to the seat that was occupied by the man and woman just now. His kick could not have hurt the man, of course. Ce did not want to get into any trouble and delay the trip's progress since they were going out to have fun. His world with Xiao Jian had yet to begin. Yunjian was unaware of Ce's thoughts. She was already sitting with Ce on the seat that was occupied by the man and woman just now. The ship was still sailing. Apart from the last jolt, the ship didn't sway again. The journey was very smooth. When they finally arrived at the island, it was already 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. In the summer, the sun was already high in the sky at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. After they got off the boat, Ningxiaoyi led the team to the beach near the island. The beach of the boat island was very large. Looking from the edge of the beach, the entire beach was filled with yellow sand and rocks. It was July, and the weather was getting hotter and hotter. The 2 months of summer vacation were undoubtedly the hottest period of the year in Zhe province. When they arrived at the beach, Ningxia accompanied Qin Yu and Yunjian to the girls' changing room. Qin Yiru and Mrs. Yang went to the changing room together. Before coming to the beach, Ningxiao's mother had already prepared swimsuits for the ladies. Ningxiao's mother was very polite. Ningxiao's mother had also helped to prepare swimsuits for the men. However, most men would only wear underwear when they went to the beach. Of course, the underwear here were not briefs but boxers. There were changing rooms for men and women set up near the sea. Qin Yu was currently pushing Yunjian into the changing room excitedly. Chapter 1244. The black swimsuit that was shoved into Yunjian's arms was not revealing. She would not be exposed in it and the important parts would not be overly exposed to others. In spite of that, the black swimsuit showcased a girl's figure to its fullest. Even the bumpy parts could be completely displayed. Yunjian could feel it when she held the swimsuit in her hands. Yunjian could not help blushing. It was not that Yunjian had never worn a swimsuit before, but be it in her past life or this life, she had never worn something that exposed her figure completely and exposed her important parts, let alone a swimsuit. Yunjian was a famous secret agent in her past life but as a female secret agent, she had never relied on seduction to win. Why was it that some people would think of bad things when they heard the word secret agent, especially female secret agents? Some people would even imagine female secret agents who relied on their bodies to win. All these did not exist for Yunjian. In her past life, she had killed many internationally renowned male assassins who were known for their abilities. In slaying God's world, seduction did not exist. What was there to ask? There was only one answer: she did not need nor did she have to seduce anyone. Her ability was enough for her to kill anyone in a second. Therefore, Yunjian's cheeks flushed when she saw the top that was as short as a bra and the swimming trunks that barely covered 1/5 of her thighs. It was mainly for her to wear this in front of him. Hurry up and change, Sister Jian. Heh heh, the color really suits you. I've never seen you in a swimsuit before. You'll have to satisfy me today. Qingyu urged again with a half-smile in her voice. Holding the black swimsuit in her hand, she changed into it eventually. When Yunjian took off her top, Qingyu almost screamed when she saw Yunjian's perfect figure. After holding it in for a while, Qingyu covered her mouth and screamed at Yunjian like a little girl, "Young master, you're the one who's going to die." Wow! You have such a great figure, Sister Jian. I've eaten a lot these days, I'm getting a little fat now. As Qingyu spoke, she rubbed her belly. Yunjian smiled and stroked Qingyu's hair, saying, "What are you waiting for?" Oh. Qingyu changed into the pink swimsuit that Ningxiao's mother had prepared for her. Qingyu's figure was not as curvy as Yunjian's, nor was she like Yunjian, who was thin and voluptuous in the right places. In spite of it, Qingyu's figure. Ce and the men who were waiting by the door had already changed into their swimsuits. Of course, Ce did not take off his shirt. He wore a pair of knee-length pants that went into the water and a black casual top. He did not like exposing himself in front of others, so he never took off his upper body or his clothes in front of others. Standing where they were for a while, Ce was surrounded by men who had taken off their top, some of them even trying to show off their toned muscles. There were already a number of girls who were sizing Ce up, but Ce ignored them. It was then that a slender figure walked out from the girls' changing room. She had changed into a pure black swimsuit and short swimming trunks without the slim-fitting top. A pair of fair, flawless, straight, and beautiful thighs were the first to appear before everyone. Ce tensed up the moment he saw the pair of fair legs. Chapter 1245. Yunjian's figure was tall and slender. The moment she stepped out, the men around her studied her from head to toe. Yunjian's swimsuit would not be exposed at all, but it was similar to tights. It gave people endless room for imagination and at the same time showcased her figure to the fullest. Sister Jian is so pretty. Qingyu stepped out as well. She had changed into a pink swimsuit that was brighter and more revealing than Yunjian's. In spite of it, pink looked more girly. Qingyu called out from behind Yunjian. It was a family meeting up with a friend's family to go on a trip together. To put it bluntly, they were out to relax, so there was no need to be so restrained. Yunjian, who was looking into Ce's eyes, lifted her head slightly before lowering it again. For some reason, she could keep a straight face in front of others, but in front of Ce, she felt like she had to consider her every move carefully. It was rare for Ce to be stunned for a moment before he came back to his senses and went to Yunjian. He was the only one who could appreciate her beauty. Ce pulled Yunjian's hand in front of everyone and headed to a spot with more rocks by the beach. Qinyiru had just come out of the girls' changing room. When she saw Ce pulling Yunjian to the beach, she asked, "Ae, where are you taking Xiaojian?" "Walking around." Ce answered softly. Without turning around, he pulled Yunjian to the spot with more rocks by the beach. These two kids are getting more and more compatible. Good Yunjian, who stood beside Qinyiru, could not help nodding as he watched Yunjian and Ce's backs before he told Qinyiru. Yunjian was not particularly tall, just a little over 1.6 meters. In spite of it, Yunjian's height, coupled with her pretty face and body proportions, were just right. Ce was 1.85 meters tall. Standing beside Ce, Yunjian felt like a little bird leaning on him. Yunjian's head could only reach above Ce's shoulder. In spite of it, the two of them gave the feeling that they were meant to be together. They were a perfect match. Ce had already pulled Yunjian far away. Qinyiru and the others who stood where they were did not follow them. Children were grown up. Just like little birds, they should have their own sky. Qinyiru was very gratified. On the other side, Ce had already brought Yunjian to a spot with more rocks by the beach. Ce had just pulled Yunjian over when he took off his jacket and personally put it on Yunjian. "You're wearing so little. Your stomach is showing. Be careful not to catch a cold," Ce said as he put his jacket on Yunjian. He even buttoned up the jacket that he had put on for Yunjian. Yunjian was speechless. The temperature was at least 37 degrees Celsius. If it was noon and the sun was shining brightly, the temperature would soar to 40 degrees Celsius. In such a hot weather, some people would even want to take off their clothes to cool off. However, what did Ce say? He said, "Be careful not to catch a cold." The meaning of his words was too obvious. Just as Ce buttoned up the men's jacket that Yunjian was wearing with his long fingers, a middle-aged man among the many small yachts docked not far away from the rocky shore suddenly came over to them and said, "I'm sorry, but I'm sorry." Chapter 1246. The middle-aged man who suddenly walked over was wearing casual clothes and a pair of loose, grayish-brown pants that reached his knees. He stumbled as he walked, as though his legs weren't very nimble. The middle-aged man's arrival interrupted Ce's actions. Although the middle-aged man was a little embarrassed, he still spoke boldly in order to attract business. "It's like this. My surname is Hang. You can call me Master Hang. I've been sailing in this area for decades. I have a boat here that can seat 10 people. We already have 8 guests here. If the two of you come together and form a boat, I can give you guys a discount for forming a team. So, young lady, young man, are you interested?" This middle-aged man was also known as Master Hang. Master Hang was currently giving a brief introduction to Yunjian and Ce. There were all sorts of activities along the beach, so there were many people who came to attract business. Some people's jobs were like this. If they didn't attract enough tourists, they wouldn't be able to make a living. Hence, it was reasonable for them to be thick-skinned. Yunjian narrowed her eyes when she heard Master Hang's words. Ce didn't look at Master Hang. Instead, he reached out and patted Yunjian's head affectionately. Then he said in his deep, magnetic voice, "Do you want to go?" He was naturally asking if they wanted to take the yacht. Even Master Hang, who was standing a distance away, couldn't help but smile when he saw Ce's affectionate gaze. "Okay." Yunjian agreed. At the same time, she reached out to pull Ce up and put on the jacket that was used to cover her swimsuit. 2 people. When Ce saw this, he reached out and pulled Yunjian's small hand over to Master Hang with a smile. "Okay." Master Hang's words carried a strong local accent, but his words could still be heard clearly. As Master Hang spoke, he held a life jacket in his hand. When he led the way back to the yacht, Master Hang couldn't help but praise Ce. "Young man, you have a bright future ahead of you." Ha! The meaning behind his words was self-evident. Ce smiled. He held Yunjian's small hand and followed behind them. Master Hang brought Ce and Yunjian to the yacht. There were a few people who were about the same age as Yunjian and Ce. When they saw Yunjian and Ce, they greeted them. They were about the same age as Yunjian and Ce. These young people looked quite friendly. It was no wonder. After all, Ce and Yunjian had joined them. Since there were more peoples, of course. My name is Lin Hui. Nice to meet you. A girl greeted Yunjian and Ce in a friendly manner. Yunjian nodded. Ce didn't reply. Seeing this, the group of people who had teamed up with Yunjian and Ce didn't get angry. The group of people was very friendly. After all, not everyone would show their emotions on their faces. "Put on your life jackets first." Master Hang brought over 10 orange life jackets and handed them to everyone. Although there weren't any people of the same age as Yunjian and Ce who were hostile to each other, they would compare themselves to each other. However, when people of the same age went out with people of the same age, they always liked to compare who was better. They even liked to say something professional to show that they were knowledgeable. "How do we put on the life jackets?" a girl asked. She couldn't put on the life jackets after a long time. Chapter 1247. The one who spoke was a good-looking young man. As he spoke, he lowered his head and fastened his life jacket. While fastening the life jacket, the young man couldn't stop bragging. "Back then, my uncle was a famous yachting expert. He even participated in some yachting competition. He even won the first prize." As he spoke, the young man paused and bragged even more. "When I was 16, I went to stay at my uncle's house for a period of time during summer vacation. At that time, my uncle even taught me how to drive a yacht. The operation was quite simple. After learning for a day, I could drive a yacht on my own." The young man's bragging tone was very unpleasant. It was very obvious that Lin Hui and the others who were with the young man had heard him bragging more than once. The young man's ultimate goal in bragging was to see the astonishment and shock on Yunjian and Ce's faces. It was just like bragging and then seeing the astonishment and shock on Yunjian and Ce's faces was to fuel the young man's vanity. The young man didn't have any other intentions. He just wanted to see the astonishment and shock on their faces when they found out about his strength. Unfortunately, he didn't see any astonishment or shock on Yunjian and Ce's faces. On the contrary, Yunjian and Ce's expressions were very normal. The young man, on the other hand, paused his hand that was still fastening his life jacket. He was a little surprised that they were not as shocked as he had expected when they heard how awesome he was. Yunjian and Ce had already skillfully put on their life jackets. In just a few seconds, they had fastened their life jackets. Even Master Hang was stunned by Yunjian and Ce's skillful movements, let alone the people around them. "Ahem. Let's get on the boat after fastening your life jackets." In order to ease the awkward atmosphere, Master Hang deliberately pulled on the rope tied to the bow of the boat. The young man smiled awkwardly and helped the others put on their life jackets. Yunjian and Ce were the first to get on the boat. By the time Lin Hui and the young man got on the boat, Yunjian and Ce were already sitting on the side of the boat. When the other young people got on the boat, another boy beside the young man who had been bragging said, "Yushu, you said you learned how to drive a yacht during the summer vacation. I'll have to trouble Master Hang to drive it for you later." The young man who had been bragging in front of everyone was called Xiong Yushu. Xiong Yushu wanted to prove his ability from the beginning. Now that the other boy who came with him started cooperating, Xiong Yushu immediately said, "Hey, I didn't. I've learned how to drive a yacht, but mine's uncle's way." Xiong Yushu's Xiong Yushu, Yushu's san the boats and the boat, the boat, the boat, and the boat, the boat, the boat, the boat, the boat, the boat, the boats, the boat island was very big. It was impossible to walk the entire boat island in a day's time. Therefore, it was not a bad choice to spend a few dozen yuan to take a boat around the boat island. Sitting beside Ce, Yunjian enjoyed the thrill of being on the yacht and sailing at high speed on the sea with her eyes closed. At this moment, they had already sailed half a lap around the boat island. At this moment, Master Hang, who was sailing, suddenly clutched his chest. In the next second, he felt a sharp pain in his heart. The hand that was holding the steering wheel suddenly loosened. Chapter 1248. Lin Hui was the first to notice that Master Hang had fainted. Originally, Yunjian and Ce were on their backs while the others were on their backs. After Master Hang fell to the ground, Lin Hui immediately screamed when she noticed. Yunjian and Ce had already noticed when Master Hang fell to the ground. As for the others, they also reacted after Lin Hui screamed. What happened to Master Hang? Why did he faint? That was the first thought that appeared in everyone's mind. Because this happened so suddenly, no one had time to react, so everyone was dumbfounded. Yacht. Who knows how to drive a yacht? Hurry up and send him to the beach. Will Master Hang? One of the boys started shouting in panic. After all, they were already halfway around the island and it would take at least 10 to 20 minutes to get back. Master Hang had suddenly fainted, and no one present knew what had happened. The best thing to do now was to quickly send him back to the beach where they first came out and call for help. But the problem now was, who would drive the yacht after Master Hang fainted? Moreover, Master Hang had fainted, so no one dared to touch him. What if something happened to him again? What should they do? Who would take responsibility? Yushu, hurry up. Didn't you learn how to drive a yacht from your uncle during the summer vacation? Hurry up and drive the yacht back to the beach. If this drags on, someone will die. The boy who helped Xiong Yushu brag earlier said to Xiong Yushu. Because he had never encountered something like this before, when the boy spoke, his voice was hoarse and trembling. I don't know where to go. I'm not familiar with this place either. Xiong Yushu's boastful attitude was gone. He began to tremble, and even his footsteps were hesitant to drive the yacht. It was one thing to brag earlier, but now that it was a critical moment, he was afraid. After all, when he drove the yacht, he was alone. Now, he had to carry so many people, and there was also a person who could die at any time. He was afraid. Yushu, what are you waiting for? You're the only one here who knows how to sail a yacht. If you don't help us, The boy urged again. It wasn't a good idea for the yacht to stay here forever. If it stayed here for too long, the yacht might sink. Everyone became more and more afraid. Not only were they worried about Master Hang, but they were also worried about their own safety. However, just as these people were so scared that they couldn't move, they didn't know what to do next. A clear female voice was heard. I'll drive the yacht. Just as he finished speaking, Yun Jian had already turned sideways and sat in the driver's seat of the yacht. Yun Jian's back was facing the crowd. She said to the panicked people standing behind her, he has a myocardial infarction. Try not to touch him. Yun Jian's words were not a question, but a statement. After saying that, she started the engine of the yacht under everyone's surprised and stunned expressions and pushed the yacht to the maximum speed. How did you know he had a myocardial infarction? Did you study medicine? And you know how to drive a yacht? Lin Hui asked in surprise. Yun Jian didn't answer Lin Hui directly. Instead, she said to the crowd, hold tight. As soon as she finished speaking, Yun Jian released the clutch. Chapter 1249. Only the sound of wind blowing could be heard from the side of their ears. Everyone grasped the handle tightly, and they were all dumbfounded. Yun Jian's yacht was sailing at an extremely fast speed. Just this speed alone was enough to make everyone turn pale. If someone didn't hold on to the railing tightly, they would probably have been blown off by the wind. Her speed was simply unbelievably fast. Oh my God! This isn't something a newbie can operate. Even my uncle's speedboat isn't as fast as she is today. My uncle has been sailing a yacht for almost 20 years. Xiong Yushu was scared half to death. He quickly grabbed onto the railing tightly and spoke in a terrified tone. As soon as Xiong Yushu finished speaking, the young people standing around, including Lin Hui, all showed a horrified expression. Previously, Xiong Yushu had bragged about how amazing his uncle was. But now, this girl who had boarded the yacht with them and hadn't spoken much from the start actually had such advanced yacht driving skills. Even Xiong Yushu couldn't help but complain that his uncle, whom he admired the most, wasn't as fast as Yunjian today. How amazing must she be to be able to force Xiong Yushu to say something like this? The sea breeze roared as Ce stood beside Yunjian. He didn't do anything else. Even in this open-air yacht, he didn't reach out to hold onto the railing and was able to stabilize his body. A journey that would normally take 10 to 20 minutes was forcibly shortened to 5 minutes by Yunjian. Lin Hui, Xiong Yushu, and the rest were completely dumbfounded. Seeing such a situation, everyone present was stunned. It wasn't for anything else but Yunjian's frightening ability. She actually knows how to sail a yacht. How old is she? Just as they were thinking this, Yunjian's low voice was heard. Hold on tight. After Yunjian finished speaking, the few people on the yacht used both hands to hold on to the railing. In the next second, they felt Yunjian driving the yacht towards the shore where there was no water. Ah! We'll capsize like this. Lin Hui's face was pale with fright. She gripped the railing tightly and closed her eyes. Just like Lin Hui, the others didn't look any better. At this moment, all of them had their eyes tightly shut. They were so scared that their nerves were stretched taut. When everyone heard Yunjian's words, they grabbed the railing of the yacht tightly. Bang! In the next second, the yacht suddenly rushed ashore. Because of the impact of the seawater, coupled with the strong inertia, it was very strong. Therefore, in the next moment, when the yacht hit the shore, it hit the shore hard before stopping steadily. Actually, the bumpiness of the yacht wasn't that bad. At least Master Hang, who was lying on the boat, did not sway at all. The yacht was docked steadily. Obviously, Master Hang was not driving the yacht alone. There were many friends of Master Hang around. When they saw Yunjian driving the yacht back to the shore, several other friends and colleagues of Master Hang ran over barefoot. What's wrong? What's wrong? The group of people were noisy. When they saw Master Hang lying on the boat, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. For a moment, they didn't know what to do. A middle-aged uncle even reached out to pull Master Hang up from the ground and carry him to the hospital. At this moment, everyone saw the beautiful girl in front of them come out from the driver's seat. She calmly stopped the man's actions. Don't touch him. The middle-aged uncle who was about to reach out his hand was stunned for a moment. He really didn't continue to reach out. Chapter 1250. The person who walked over did not care about anything else at all. He came over and criticized Yunjian. He even looked unhurried. It did not look like he was doing it for Master Hang's sake. Instead, he looked like he was gloating. Moreover, this person walked over and looked at Yunjian slowly. He looked like he could not wait to see something happen to Master Hang. Moreover, when he spoke to Yunjian, this person's tone was very bad. However, this person deliberately said that it was for Master Hang's sake, causing the surrounding people to really think that Yunjian was deliberately trying to harm Master Hang. Hence, the surrounding people started to criticize Yunjian. Young lady, what's wrong with you? Are you hoping that something happens to our Master Hang? That's right. Our Master Hang is such a good person. This young lady is actually so vicious. Come, come. Hurry up and carry Master Hang to the hospital for a checkup. Master Hang's colleagues began to criticize Yunjian. Some people even said that Yunjian was vicious. The words were spoken in a split second. Narrowing her eyes, Yunjian's lips curled into a cold smirk. After sneering, Yunjian continued, he has a myocardial infarction. Call an ambulance immediately. You are not medical staff. After a myocardial infarction, if you are not rescued in time, the patient will often die within 2 hours. Don't move or help the patient walk. Otherwise, his condition will only worsen faster. If something happens, none of you can bear the responsibility. Yun Jian's cold words were quickly heard. Then, she successfully stopped the group of people who wanted to reach out to touch Master Hang. Yes, Yun Jian was right. If something happened while moving or helping the patient walk, no one could bear the responsibility. I'll call the doctor. Someone quickly ran to the hospital near the beach. Fortunately, it was not far from the hospital. After the doctor returned and completed a series of safety measures, he finally sent Master Hang safely to the hospital. Only then did the doctor wave his hand to wipe off the cold sweat on his body. Seeing that the medical staff had already escorted Master Hang to his hospital, the doctor wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead and said to everyone, "Phew, as long as he's sent to the hospital on time, there won't be any major problems. The patient's condition is very serious. Fortunately, you called us over and didn't reach out to help him or touch his body. Otherwise, he might have died on the spot." Even this doctor let out a soft sigh of relief, let alone the others. Especially the colleague of Master Hang who had scolded Yun Jian with exaggerated words just now. Although that person was unreasonable, he didn't want Master Hang to die at all, nor did he dare to do so. After hearing the doctor's words, the man still looked at the doctor in disbelief as he asked in a trembling tone, Doctor, is it true that old Hang couldn't be moved just now?" It was obvious that this person did not know anything about medicine. The doctor glanced at this person and said, "That's right. In layman's terms, if you touch him, it's very likely that the patient who is in the middle of a myocardial infarction will die on the spot. In that case, the young lady really knows medicine." At this moment, someone looked at Yun Jian with a slightly surprised gaze. At this moment, everyone's gaze shifted to Yun Jian. When they saw that Yun Jian was only 16 or 17 years old and wasn't even an adult, everyone was shocked and frightened. Chapter 1251. Everyone was scared out of their wits. That was a human life. If it wasn't for Yun Jian, perhaps Master Hang would have already. At the thought of this, everyone shuddered violently. Without a doubt, what happened just now had a huge impact on everyone present. Even this group of old masters were scared half to death, not to mention Lin Hui, Xiong Yushu, and the other youngsters. At this moment, the group of youngsters led by Lin Hui were all in a daze. Their expressions were no different from being petrified. Their entire bodies were frozen on the spot, unable to move. "Young lady, it's all thanks to you just now." When the doctor found out that it was Yun Jian who stopped the masters from attacking Master Hang, saving him from the ordeal, he thanked Yun Jian on Master Hang's behalf. "You don't have to thank me. It's just a small matter," Yun Jian said calmly. After that, she turned around and left with Ce. "Hey, can the two of you wait?" Xiong Yushu only caught up after Yun Jian and Ce had walked quite a distance away. He looked at Ce, then looked at Yun Jian. Then, he said to Yun Jian in a worshipful tone, "You're so good at driving a yacht. I don't have any other intentions. I just want to know where you learned it from. Where did you learn to drive a yacht so well?" Whether it was Master Hang, Xiong Yushu, or Lin Hui, they were all just passers-by on a journey. Everyone had their own living space and world. As long as they returned to their own living space or world, they would never meet these passers-by again. If they were fated to meet a passerby on a journey, it wasn't impossible for them to help them. Yun Jian pursed her lips and smiled. Ce could feel that Xiong Yushu wasn't interested in Yun Jian. He only wanted to ask about Yun Jian's strength. Therefore, other than telling Yun Jian and Xiong Yushu not to get too close, he didn't stop them and just stood quietly at the side. However, he saw Yun Jian curl her lips slightly and smile at Xiong Yushu. After a 2-second pause, Yun Jian spoke faintly and said in a joking tone, "Self-taught, self-taught." After that, Yun Jian reached out and took Ce's hand. Then, she pulled Ce towards where Qin Yiru and the others were. Xiong Yushu stood where he was, watching Yunjian's receding figure in a daze for a few seconds. After a while, Xiong Yushu said, "Isn't she a genius?" This time, Xiong Yushu really. His uncle had been learning how to sail for 20 years, but he still couldn't beat a teenage girl. Of course, of course, of course. At that moment, Xiong Yushu, of Yunjian, of his mind. That was the worship of the strong. Yunjian dragged Ci's hand back to the shallow sea area where Qin Yiru and Gujunjian were. The shallow sea area by the sea was a sacred place for children to play. Because the sea was shallow, even if the children went into the water, the adults would watch from the side and not let the children fall into the water. It could be said that it was a safe and fun place. Yunjian, who was dragging Ci's hand, walked back to the beach like a teenage girl. From afar, she saw Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya lying on the sand on the beach. They were holding plastic cups in one hand and squatting on the ground. "Shoo, don't talk. Otherwise, the little crabs won't come out." Xiao Yunju was like a little adult as he took charge of the order. Duanli and Duanya also started to shush each other. Yunjian dragged Ce over. Xiao Yunju raised his head and was about to say something when he saw Yunjian dragging Ce over. Xiao Yunju had just found a little crab's hole. However, when he saw Yunjian and Ce, he immediately stepped on the little crab's hole. The poor little crab's hole was blocked by Xiao Yunju. Xiao Yunju was already running over with Duanli and Duanya. At the same time, he said coquettishly, "Sister, brother Ce." Xiao Yunju tactfully rushed into Ce's arms. Duanli and Duanya, on the other hand, rushed into Yunjian's arms. Yunjian reached out to ruffle their hair. Seeing such a harmonious scene, her words softened. "Did you have fun?" "Yes, yes. This is the first time I've been to the beach." "Sister, we're all so happy." Duanli held Yunjian's hand and said excitedly. "Hee, brother Ce, can you take us to eat ice cream? We're so thirsty." Xiao Yunju shook Ce's hand and said coquettishly. "Okay." Ce immediately agreed. After informing Qin Yiru and Gujunjian, Yunjian and Ce each held Duanli and Duanya's hands and walked to a nearby ice cream shop. This ice cream shop was famous for being expensive, but it was also the only ice cream shop within a radius of 8 miles. When Yunjian and Ce brought Xiao Yunju and the other two into the shop and sat down, suddenly, another group of people entered the shop. Yunjian didn't look carefully. However, she heard someone suddenly shout at her. "Hey, it's you guys. What a coincidence." Chapter 1252. Lin Hui, Xiong Yushu, and the others didn't expect to meet Yunjian and Ce again at the ice cream shop. Lin Hui, Xiong Yushu, and the others were shocked by Yunjian's superb yachting skills and her proficient medical knowledge. Now, they even treated Yunjian as their idol. Xiong Yushu felt that he wanted to pretend to be amazing in front of Yunjian and Ce, but he felt embarrassed when he thought about it now. But at this moment, the admiration in her heart was greater than the feeling of embarrassment. Lin Hui, Xiong Yushu, and the others quickly walked over and stood in front of Yunjian and Ce. Lin Hui put her hands behind her back and smiled at Yunjian playfully. Then, she said, "Are you here for ice cream too? Do you mind sharing a table?" Lin Hui said as she glanced at Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya. "Wow, what a cute little brother and little sister." Lin Hui said as she squatted down to look at Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya. "Okay." Yunjian didn't refuse. This was because she saw that Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya seemed very curious when they saw Lin Hui and the others. It wasn't bad to let Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya see more people in the world. Then we won't stand on ceremony, haha. Lin Huai said as she took the lead and sat down. After chatting for a while, they found out that Lin Huai's family was in the north. She, Xiong Yushu, and the others all came from the north. Xiong Yushu's uncle was from the south. When Xiong Yushu was 16, he came to the south for a summer vacation and learned how to sail at his uncle's house. At this point, the ice cream that everyone had ordered was served. The ice cream in this shop was very big, but the price was very expensive. Obviously, since Lin Huai and the others came to the shop, it meant that their family background wasn't bad. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come all the way from the north for a vacation. The ice cream here was eaten with a spoon. Once, she accidentally got some ice cream on the side of her mouth when she scooped it into her mouth with the spoon. Ce didn't say anything. When he saw it, he immediately reached out and gently wiped the ice cream off Yunjian's mouth. This action warmed the hearts of Lin Huai and the others. Even Lin Huai couldn't help but say, "You two are so loving. And from the first time I saw the two of you, I felt that the two of you were very compatible, ah." Lin Huai just wanted to express her thoughts. She didn't mean anything else. When Yunju heard Lin Huai's words, he shook his head left and right before blinking his beady eyes at Lin Huai and said seriously, "I'm not sure if you'll be able to do anything to me. Sister and brother Ce often play kissing games, and they don't even let us watch. Our classmate, Xiao Hui, said that they were hiding from us and secretly making love." Xiao Yunju pursed his lips and said in a very innocent manner. The originally good atmosphere became extremely awkward after Xiao Yunju's words. Yunjian's hand, which was eating ice cream just now, froze. She let go of the spoon in her hand that was scooping ice cream, and it fell to the ground. Xiao Yunju's words just now really made one's imagination run wild. Ahem. Yunjian couldn't help but cough lightly to alleviate the awkwardness. Yunjian and Xiao Yunju all ordered ice cream. Ce didn't order because he didn't like to eat these things. Seeing the spoon in Yunjian's hand slip to the floor due to Yunju's frightening words just now, Yunjian was stunned. Ce reached out and caught the spoon without even looking. Lin Huai, Xiong Yushu, and the others, who were sitting opposite Yunjian and Ce, all gasped when they saw this. Just now, they thought that only Yunjian was so amazing. In the end, this man didn't even look and directly caught the spoon that Yunjian accidentally dropped. Just as everyone was stunned, they saw Ce use Yunjian's spoon to scoop up a mouthful of ice cream and swallow it. With a smirk, he looked at Yunjian from the side and uttered something that was even more misleading with a doting gaze, "This ice cream is very sweet and delicious." Chapter 1253. Ce's words were enough to cause misunderstandings. Yunjian blushed slightly when she heard Ce's words. Lin Huai, Xiong Yushu, and the others were also stunned. When they came back to their senses, their expressions changed slightly. However, most of them were a little embarrassed. At that moment, everyone felt that Ce's words were really embarrassing and full of possessiveness. Furthermore, he had said it so confidently as if he was afraid that others wouldn't know that there was something going on between him and Yunjian. But to be honest, just the fact that Yunjian and Ce were so compatible was enough to make Lin Huai, Xiong Yushu, and the others envious. Yunjian reached out and snatched the spoon back from Ce's hand. She didn't look down on the spoon that Ce had eaten and her face was slightly red. "I'm not giving it to you." Yunjian lowered her head and scooped another mouthful of ice cream. Her cheeks were slightly red as she spoke to Ce. When Ce heard this, he felt that she was acting coquettishly. Ce couldn't help but smile. Cough cough cough. Did you guys know that there will be a surfing competition at the beach later? Let's go and watch, shall we? Xiong Yushu stood up and said softly to ease the awkwardness. As he spoke, Xiong Yushu rubbed his mouth with his hand. Surfing. Little brother, is surfing the kind where people stand on a wooden board and rush around in the sea? Xiao Yunju thought for a while and asked cleverly. When he heard Xiao Yunju's analogy, Xiong Yushu quickly nodded. Yes. I want to go, I want to go. When Xiao Yunju heard this, he quickly ran over and shook Yunjian's hand. Then, he said coquettishly, Big sister, can you take us to watch the surfing? Our teacher talked about surfing in class before. I want to watch it. Since Xiao Yunju had spoken, Yunjian naturally wouldn't disagree. She pursed her red lips and immediately agreed, okay. Upon hearing that Yunjian had agreed, Xiao Yunju and the other two were overjoyed. After finishing their ice cream, they set off for the beach. Xiao Yunju and the other two were no longer as mischievous as before. Perhaps it was because she had eaten a large bowl of ice cream. Since it was Xiong Yushu's suggestion, he led everyone to the beach where the surfing competition was going to take place. The beach here was not shallow, so Yunjian and Ce held tightly onto Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya's hands, afraid that the three children would run away. There was a lot of traffic on this beach because there was going to be a surfing competition. The beach, which was originally big enough for a person to run all over the place, was now so crowded that one could only walk slowly. Thus, Yunjian had to hold on to Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya even more tightly. Xiong Yushu, who was leading the team, finally found an empty spot to watch the competition. He had just called Yunjian and the others over when Yunjian narrowed her eyes and saw a familiar face in the crowd. Yunjian leaned against Ce and whispered to him, Mad Dragon is here. She had arranged to meet Mad Dragon on the boat island, and they had just set the location here. However, Yunjian didn't expect it to be so crowded at first. Hey, you guys come and play. Lin Huai saw the lively scene and waved her hand to signal Yunjian and Ce to bring Xiao Yunju and the other two over. However, Ce suddenly leaned over and whispered into Yunjian's ear. Chapter 1254. Ce did not know if Lin Huai had turned around, nor did he want to know. He did not want to know about other people's affairs. He only cared about his Xiao Jian. Ce lowered his head and pressed his lips softly to Yunjian's earlobe, ignoring the curious gazes of the people around them. He spoke softly, speaking words that no one around them could hear. Everyone thought that Ce was saying something flirtatious to Yunjian. In fact, Ce had only whispered to Yunjian, Xiao Jian, do you want Mad Dragon to join the Kosha mercenaries? It sounded like a question, but Ce had basically confirmed Yunjian's plan. As expected, Yunjian nodded softly after hearing Ce's question. She had only invited Mad Dragon to meet her on Zhoudao because of one thing. She wanted Mad Dragon to join the Kosha mercenaries and expand the Kosha mercenaries' capabilities. Although the Kosha mercenaries' reputation was not to be underestimated internationally, the Kosha mercenaries were still not strong enough. At least, that was what Yunjian thought. A person, an organization, could not stay where they were forever. To achieve greater success, they had to take the big step bravely. Yunjian was never satisfied with the status quo because she knew that she was not good enough. There would always be someone better than her. She had to be the powerhouse who held up the entire mountain in order to protect the people she wanted to protect. Kosha mercenaries would never reject talents, what more an elite like Mad Dragon. It was true that Kuang Long's capability was not on par with Yunjian's, in fact, they were miles apart. However, if Kuang Long was poached by other forces in the future, it would only be an additional enemy and danger to Gu Sha mercenaries. Therefore, Yunjian planned to invite Mad Dragon to join the Kosha mercenaries. Stay here and accompany Xiao Zhu and the others. Have fun. I'll handle this. Ce had already straightened his body and looked up. He had one hand in his pocket as he spoke in his rich masculine voice. There were many people walking around, but no matter how beautiful Yunqian and Ce were, no one would stop to watch them or eavesdrop on their conversation like they were monkeys. Therefore, Ce did not lower his voice when he said the latter part. You. Yunqian looked up and pressed her lips together. She was surprised, but there was a faint warmth in her heart. Mad Dragon was now a member of the Enhun organization. Why was this so? It was because all the assassins and agents of the Enhun organization had worked for the organization. In her previous life, Yunqian had also worked for the Enhun organization for a few years. When she became strong enough, she became the first person to leave the organization. However, Mad Dragon had not completely left Enhun organization. In fact, Enhun organization did not participate in these things. In Enhun organization, as long as you completed the mission, you could leave the organization. Moreover, Enhun organization had never stopped any capable assassins or agents from leaving their control. Yunqian was the only agent who had completed all the missions given by Enhun organization and left Enhun organization. This was because none of the assassins and agents who wanted to leave Enhun organization to complete their missions lived to see the day they left. However, Yunqian believed that Mad Dragon could do it. This was because Mad Dragon was strong enough. Yunqian was touched because Mad Dragon was still a member of Enhun organization. Yunqian only wanted Mad Dragon to reach an understanding with her and wait for Mad Dragon to leave Enhun organization before officially joining the Kosha mercenaries. However, Ce's words were, just as Yunqian said the word "you," Ce suddenly reached out and hugged her waist. There seemed to be light in his eyes. Under his handsome face, the corners of his lips were slightly raised. His eyes only reflected her. Other than that, there was nothing else. Chapter 1255. He could give up everything, even in Hun group. He only wanted her. He had never thought that he would meet a woman who he could give up his life for, a woman he wanted to hold in his arms and make her belong to him alone. Ce hated women to the core, to the point where he shuddered at the mere sight of them. He thought that he was destined to be alone and had never yearned for love, much less yearned for it. However, fate had brought him to meet his Xiao Jian. Once Ce loved someone, it was for life. It was impossible for him to let go. She was his woman, so he naturally had to hold her in the palm of his hand. Yunqian blushed when she heard Ce's last sentence. Ce's words touched her to the core. If it were not for the crowd, she would have hugged him. Take Xiao Zhu and the other girls and wait for me here, Ce said as he rubbed Yunqian's silky hair gently. Yunqian did not reject him now as she nodded at Ce. Ce then turned to leave through the crowd. Xiao Yunzhu clapped and exclaimed, "Wow!" Ce Gage touched Jiejia's hair like he's touching mine. Just as Xiao Yunzhu said that, Lin Hui peeked over again, only to see Ce leaving. Lin Hui was suspicious, but she still walked over to Yunqian. "Where's your boyfriend?" "Ha, I'll hold your brother's hand for you. Look after your two younger sisters. We'll stand here, the surfing competition is starting soon." Lin Hui asked nosily before going to Yunqian with a grin. Lin Hui was only helping Yunqian hold Xiao Yunzhu's hand out of kindness, preventing Xiao Yunzhu from being pushed or trampled in this crowded place. "Thank you." Yunqian thanked Lin Hui with a smile. Lin Hui was being kind after all. "Haha, you're welcome." Lin Hui was flattered, scratching her head and saying nothing else. At the same time, someone at the beach announced the start of the competition through the microphone. "Thank you to all the tourists who came to watch the competition. Due to the crowd, we hope that all of you can watch the competition from a safe place. Thank you. Let the competition begin." Not long after Ce left, the surfing competition was about to begin. CE walked towards the center of the crowd with one hand in his pocket. His tall figure attracted a lot of attention as he walked towards the center of the crowd. Under everyone's gaze, CE walked to the center of the crowd. He reached out and grabbed the collar of a man who had his back facing him. Without even saying a word, he dragged the man by the collar to an empty corner. Mad Dragon was suddenly grabbed by the collar by CE. He didn't know that the person who grabbed his collar was CE, so he was furious. He was the god of war, Mad Dragon, ranked 3rd on the International Secret Service rankings. How could he be dragged by the collar today after being defeated yesterday? Mad Dragon tried to break free, but he realized that his strength, which was enough to intimidate countless international masters, was useless in front of the person who grabbed him by the collar. CE dragged Mad Dragon to an empty beach before he threw Mad Dragon to the ground. Chapter 1256. It was the man who had been standing next to SS. Mad Dragon's expression changed drastically. Mad Dragon had met CE at the beach yesterday. Of course, that was because CE was standing next to Yunjian. More importantly, the 3 leaders of Enhun were there as well. Therefore, Mad Dragon had suspected that CE was most likely the leader of Enhun. Mad Dragon did not know whether CE was the leader of Enhun or not. In Enhun, other than the 4 leaders, no one else had seen the leader of Enhun. Even Slain God did not know that CE was the leader of Enhun. If CE had not admitted it, Yunjian would not even know where to start investigating. No matter how good Yunjian was, she would not be able to find out who the leader of Enhun was. Mad Dragon's expression changed drastically, but he did not lose his footing. It was undeniable that Mad Dragon was stronger than all of Yunjian's opponents and teammates. And for a powerful person, being calm and unhurried after encountering a situation was the most basic. Mad Dragon could not confirm that CE was the leader of Enhun just by looking at the 3 leaders of the organization. After all, Enhun had existed for so many years. It was hard for him to believe that the leader of Enhun was a young man who was about his age or even 2 years younger than him. To be honest, it was not that Mad Dragon did not believe it, but he was slightly doubtful. Mad Dragon. Just as Mad Dragon was frowning and trying to guess CE's identity, CE's voice interrupted him. Mad Dragon frowned and looked at CE when his name was called. As a professional agent, Mad Dragon did not respond to CE. I'll give you 3 days. Enhun will let you go as long as you join the Kosha mercenaries within 3 days, CE made his intentions clear. He never bothered to beat around the bush with people because he didn't have the time to talk nonsense with people. You. Mad Dragon's eyes widened and he was completely shocked by CE's words. CE's 3 simple sentences summed up a lot of things. For example, he had indirectly mentioned that he was the leader of Enhun. Other than the 4 leaders of Enhun, no one else could make the decision to release any of Enhun's secret agents or assassins. Except for the leader of Enhun. Remember to voluntarily join the Kosha mercenaries after leaving Enhun. Otherwise, you should know how Enhun deals with traitors. CE did not waste any more time and said simply. Mad Dragon gulped, and when he regained his senses, CE had already walked away. Just as he took 2 steps forward, CE suddenly thought of something and turned to the side. Even Mad Dragon, who was also a man, could not help but admit his inferiority when he looked at his flawless face. Remember, that's my woman. Don't stand within 3 meters of her when you see her in the future. Otherwise, you will become the number 1 person on Enhun's must-kill list. CE raised his eyebrows slightly and said without any change in his expression. The people on Enhun's must-kill list were the wanted criminals of Enhun. As long as they were on Enhun's must-kill list, the assassins, or special agents of Enhun had to kill them as soon as they saw them. The number 1 person on Enhun's must-kill list was wanted by the entire Enhun. Even if they did not die, it was definitely not a joke. Chapter 1257. That was a fate worse than death. Mad Dragon's face had darkened to the point of no return. I will definitely head to the Kosha mercenaries within 3 days, and I promise I won't get within 3 meters of her. Mad Dragon was sweating profusely. But on the surface, his expression didn't change at all. However, no one could have imagined that Mad Dragon's heart was so shaken that it was unrecognizable. Big news. Big news. The boss of the Kosha mercenaries, the #1 international secret agent, was actually together with the leader of the Enhun organization who had trained her. Just the fact that CE forbade him from getting close to Yun Jian or he would be marked as the top figure on Enhun's must-kill list was enough to scare Wild Dragon. He wouldn't dare to touch SS even if he died. She was the leader of the Enhun organization. After hearing Mad Dragon's promise, CE smirked. He didn't say anything else and walked towards where Yun Jian and Xiao Yunju were. At this moment, Yun Jian was holding Duan Li and Duanya's hands, while Lin Huai was helping Yun Jian hold Xiao Yunju's hand. They were standing at their original spot watching the surfing competition. Wow, sister and the others are so awesome. I want to be as awesome as them when I grow up. Xiao Yunju was still young, so his words weren't true. Children only liked to dream of their own dreams, but they didn't know the cruelty of reality. That was the benefit of being a child. Children didn't need to think too much about the trivial matters of the world. Just like Xiao Yunju, he could say whatever he wanted without any taboos. Xiao Zhu will definitely be so awesome when he grows up. Yun Jian patted Yun Zhu's head with her hand that was holding Duan Li's before taking Duan Li's hand again. Ha ha. Yun Zhu stuck his tongue out at him. By the time CE returned, the surfing competition was already halfway through. CE accompanied Yun Jian to watch Xiao Yunju and the other two surfing competition. It was already past 4 in the afternoon. Because the latest cruise from Zhoudao back to Ning City was at 5 p.m., they had to prepare to return at this time. Lin Huai, Xiong Yushu, and the others planned to stay on the island and play for a day before going back. Yun Jian said goodbye to Lin Huai and the others, and then said goodbye at the Boat Island's pier. This goodbye usually lasted for a lifetime. By the time Yun Jian and Qin Yiru returned to Ningxiao's house in Ning City, it was already 6:00 in the evening. Ningxiao's mother politely prepared a sumptuous dinner. Everyone had dinner in harmony. They were ready to depart for Longmen City early the next morning. Ningxia and Ningxiao's mother even said in a friendly manner that Yun Jian, Qin Yiru, and Mrs. Yang's family would definitely come to Ning City again. They returned to Longmen City after saying their goodbyes. Their return to Longmen City this time was different from before. There was an additional person, Si Luo. Si Luo and Qin Yu got along well, so he wanted to stay at Qin Yu's house when they arrived in Longmen City. Heh, you can't go wrong staying at my house. Don't you think so, Sister Jian? Qin Yu asked Yun Jian when she dragged Si Luo to her house. That's great. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. Her hair was loose today, but it was not tied up with a headband. They were still on the bus on the way back. A cool breeze blew outside the window, blowing Yun Jian's hair up. There was a lingering fragrance in her hair that was pleasing to the nose. But I have a little idiot who's noisy every day at home. You have to get used to it. Her name is Gun Yan. Qin Yu chuckled and introduced her to Si Luo. Si Luo did not know how to say anything else, but he was already grateful that Qin Yu was willing to take him in. Shuang could not take it anymore. He rushed up from the back seat to grab Si Luo's wrist and told Qin Yu, "Brother Jian, let's go." Chapter 1258. When Shuang said that, not only were the people on the bus stunned, even Shuang himself was stunned. However, Shuang was different from the others. If it had been someone else who had accidentally said something so awkward, they would have tried to change the topic. However, Shuang was taken aback. He then grabbed Si Luo's hand and leaned against the backrest of Si Luo's seat confidently, continuing to reason with Qingyu in front of everyone on the bus. She came back with me. I should be the one to take her in. Why are you snatching her away from me? Shuang sounded quite confident. Then, he added after a pause, besides, she's the one who begged me to take her in. You can ask her yourself if you don't believe me. Shuang was still trying to act innocent. Not only did he want to snatch her away, but he also wanted Si Luo to admit that she was the one who wanted to follow him. As he spoke, Shuang tugged at Si Luo's wrist, intending to get her to speak. Si Luo thought that Yunjian was the boss here, so she turned to look at Yunjian. Si Luo thought that Yunjian was the boss because Ce had to listen to Yunjian here. If Yunjian wanted to go east, Ce would not dare to go west. After glancing at Yunjian, she saw Yunjian grinning at her. Si Luo pouted and turned her head back. She shrunk her neck in fear and glanced at the scar on Shui Ying's neck before shifting her gaze back to Qingyu. I think I should stay with Qingyu. Shuang grabbed Si Luo's wrist tightly. She was terrified but still, she mustered up her courage to speak her mind. She shrunk her neck just as Si Luo finished speaking, afraid that Shuang would scold her. The scar on Shui Ying's neck was horrifying. Si Luo was truly terrified. If she were to see Shuang in the middle of the night at his house, it would really be. On the other hand, Qingyu was different. Qingyu was so pretty and would protect her. More importantly, Qingyu mentioned that she had a silly girl at home who was a troublemaker named Gunyanji. This way, she would not feel bored staying in Qingyu's house. So she still chose to. Damn, you're actually planning to do it with her? No, this won't do. You came back with me, so you have to come with me. Shui Ying's grip tightened. In the end, Shuang dragged Si Luo to his house. Shuang stayed in Longmen City for a day upon his return before rushing back to Enhun Group. Shuang was supposed to leave with Lin Wei when they left Longmen City, but he was different today as he left with Si Luo. Si Luo had wanted to stay in Longmen City but she dared not resist Shui Ying's tug. She could only shrink her neck and leave with Shuang under Qingyu and Yunjian's cheers. Oh God, Si Luo is so pitiful. Don't you think so, Sister Jian? Qingyu shook her head, standing at the bus stop to send Shuang and the others to the airport. I think so. Yunjian turned to give Qingyu a half-smile and went to Ce who was standing not too far away. The next few days were very ordinary. With Ce's company for the past few days, Yunjian's days were anything but ordinary. The third Global Underground Tea Party would be held in a few days' time. To put it bluntly, it was a gathering of the world's underground secret agents and assassins. 3 days before the Underground Tea Party, Yunjian had a month of peaceful summer vacation. In the blink of an eye, it was almost August. 3 days before the tea party, Yunjian was asked to attend the graduation ceremony of Junior 3 Class A. The graduation ceremony was held on the 29th of July this time. It was a little late since it was a last-minute event. Chapter 1259. Zhang Xiaofeng was waving at Yunjian with all his might. Chen Sini, on the other hand, had her hands gently cupped by her lips, using this as an excuse to shout at Yunjian from afar. It had been a few days since Yunjian had seen Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini, this pair of buffoons. She couldn't help but reveal a faint smile. Hey, it's so embarrassing for the two of you to shout here and there. We have to maintain our poise. Ling Yichen, who was standing beside Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini, coolly flipped his short hair that couldn't be flipped. Then, he struck a cool pose. Screw you. We're all on the same side. Stop pretending. Zhang Xiaofeng slapped Ling Yichen's cool pose away. You're not from our class, yet you're attending our graduation ceremony with us. Aren't you ashamed? Zhang Xiaofeng rebuked Ling Yichen with his master, Yun Jian, backing him up. It's not like I'm the only one from another class who's here to join in the fun. Didn't the other students in your class also invite their classmates who aren't from your class to attend your graduation ceremony? Ling Yichen eloquently rebutted Zhang Xiaofeng. Hey, I say, you're acting all high and mighty when a classmate from another class comes to attend our graduation ceremony. Zhang Xiaofeng joked as he bickered with Ling Yichen. However, before the two of them could finish their bickering, Yun Jian's cold voice rang out, "If the two of you say another word, I'll make you walk backwards right now." Hearing his master's words, Zhang Xiaofeng quickly shrank back. Ling Yichen was also shaken by Yun Jian's imposing manner. Zhang Xiaofeng and Ling Yichen believed in Yun Jian's words very much, so the two of them immediately stopped talking. Ha ha ha. My Jian is the best. Chen Xinyi said as she hooked her arm around Yun Jian's and stuck her tongue out at Zhang Xiaofeng and Ling Yichen. Everyone is here, right? We can go to the hotel for lunch. The person who organized the graduation ceremony was Yun Jian's class study committee member, Lin Yeqian. Lin Yeqian was a very ordinary-looking girl, but she was very good at her studies and had excellent organizational skills. It was just that she was usually very quiet and didn't like to talk much. In school, Lin Yeqian always wore her school uniform. Today, she had changed into a white dress, which made her look like a fairy. Sure thing, study commissary, as you wish. Zhang Xiaofeng was at ease, entering the hotel with Yun Jian and the others with a chuckle. Today, the graduation ceremony of the students had even called their teachers over. At this time, the results of the middle school exams were already out. After entering high school, the students would go their separate ways. After entering the private room of the hotel, Yun Jian followed Zhang Xiaofeng and the others to a table. There were 3 to 4 tables set up around them in the same room. This was also to make it easier for the class reunion. After Yun Jian sat down, a few of the rowdier boys in the class started to kick up a fuss. Hey, don't leave later. Qi Xiaoxiao's boyfriend from our class will be here later. Her boyfriend is the young master of Prosperous Fountain Company in Jia Province. His family is filthy rich. Qi Xiaoxiao said later that she'll get her boyfriend to bring her to Longmen City's racecourse for horseback riding. It's free for all of us. Prosperous Fountain's young master is treating us, heh heh. Right after the rowdy boys finished speaking, the girl named Qi Xiaoxiao, who had been quite obedient in school, was already wearing a thick layer of makeup. It hadn't even been 2 months since she left school, but she was already wearing heavy makeup. Today, she was even wearing a pink miniskirt with a lot of rouge and face powder on. Qi Xiaoxiao stood up and said proudly, "It's not that exaggerated. My boyfriend's family is only worth tens of millions." A net worth of tens of millions was an unimaginable amount in 1999. Chapter 1260. Upon hearing Qi Xiaoxiao's words, both the male and female students gasped in shock. Wow! Qi Xiaoxiao, your boyfriend's family is so powerful. He's already worth tens of millions. A girl exclaimed at Qi Xiaoxiao with sparkling eyes. Just as the girl finished, another boy chimed in, Qi Xiaoxiao's status now is different from before. She's the future madam of Prosperous Fountain Company. The entire company should be hers in the future. When the boy said that, there was another round of "oh" from the crowd. Qi Xiaoxiao was even more smug when she heard what the boy said. Coincidentally, the boy added, "Qi Xiaoxiao, don't forget us when you're successful in the future." The latter part of his words elicited gasps from the crowd. Yun Jian's identity as an advanced special forces soldier was shocking, but compared to Qi Xiaoxiao, who was likely to be the future madam of prosperous fountain company, the students preferred to suck up to her. It was because Qi Xiaoxiao would become rich. People were all very realistic. In the face of benefits, reputation was not worth mentioning at all. Qi Xiaoxiao picked up a cup of tea and downed it like a rich lady amidst everyone's praises and adulation. Yun Jian was not affected by the atmosphere as she was chatting with Chen Xinyi and her friends at the corner of the dining table. Master, you'll be studying outside the city after you go to the military school. You must come back to visit us in the future. Zhang Xiaofeng said reluctantly. After all, it was almost a year of friendship. It was not something that could be forgotten so easily. Yeah, Jian, we're studying in high school in Longmen City. You're out of Longmen City now and going to a high school outside. You must come back to visit us when you're free. Chen Xinyi said, gripping Yun Jian's hand tightly. Yeah, me too. Xiaofeng, Xinyi, and I got into the same high school. Ling Yichen chimed in. Looking at their expectant gazes, Yun Jian nodded and smiled. Yes, I will. Come to think of it, the first friends she made when she left Xinjiang town and came to Longmen City were Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Xinyi. Ling Yichen had gotten to know her not too long after that. Up until today, the three of them had been by his side. However, Yun Jian knew that all good things must come to an end, just like Lu Fian. When they would meet, they would always meet. A person had to walk their own path in life. No one could accompany them to the end because everyone's lifespan and experience were different. No one could be sure. My boyfriend is here. At this moment, Qi Xiaoxiao, who was sitting at the table next to Yun Jian's, suddenly looked at the door excitedly. Then, she stood up and ran over. To Qi Xiaoxiao, the only reason she could change was because of her boyfriend. Moreover, she had a boyfriend now, so she had become more confident. Back in school, Qi Xiaoxiao was an ugly girl who did not know how to dress up. Now that she was out of school, she knew how to dress up and put on makeup. Now, she could even boldly reveal her boyfriend's assets humbly, eliciting gasps from the people around them. Qi Xiaoxiao was very satisfied with this feeling. Yun Jian did not look up, but Chen Xinyi and the others looked over. A man in his early 20s wearing a pair of ripped pants stood at the door, thinking that he looked cool. It was obvious that he was a delinquent. Chapter 1261. Qi Xiaoxiao pulled on the man named Lin Zihang and boasted to the crowd. As expected, Qi Xiaoxiao's boasting was effective. Just as Qi Xiaoxiao finished her words, the students around them went into an uproar. What? Qi Xiaoxiao, is what you said true? Your boyfriend is footing the bill for everything we've spent today. Someone asked Qi Xiaoxiao in disbelief. When Qi Xiaoxiao saw that everyone was so shocked, she was very satisfied that everyone was looking at her with such an expression. Therefore, Qi Xiaoxiao didn't even want to pay attention to those who were looking at her with such an expression. Qi Xiaoxiao hooked her arm around Lin Zihang's and said coquettishly like a little girl, Zihang, don't you think so? We're footing the bill today. It's just this much anyway. Your allowance for half a day is enough. It turned out that Lin Zihang had not agreed to it yet. Yun Jian did not look up, but she scoffed. Lin Zihang resisted the urge to slap Qi Xiaoxiao. Who asked her to spout nonsense and make him foot the bill? In spite of it, Lin Zihang still had to pretend to be a rich young master who did not care about money. Eat as much as you want today. It's all on me. Lin Zihang said through clenched teeth. Then we won't hold back. Ha! Rich people are indeed different. A boy opened his mouth to tease. Everyone was chatting and joking, but most of them were sucking up to Lin Zihang or Qi Xiaoxiao. At this moment, Yun Jian's identity as an advanced special forces soldier was insignificant. In spite of it, it was what Yun Jian wanted. Halfway through the meal, Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihong went out to settle the bill. Since they had to go to Longmen City's racecourse in the afternoon, they had to finish their lunch quickly or they would not have enough time to play. Jian, come with me to the washroom. Chen Xinyi asked Yun Jian as she held her stomach. Yun Jian was done eating and had nothing to do now, so she stood up to accompany Chen Xinyi to the washroom when Chen Xinyi called her. Hotel washrooms were usually separated into male and female washrooms with sinks. Yun Jian didn't go to the ladies' room. She was there to accompany Chen Xinyi. She stood at the sink and waited for Chen Xinyi. Suddenly, a very soft conversation could be heard from afar. Yun Jian's ears were very sensitive. Although she didn't deliberately listen, she could still hear the conversation coming from the side of the sink and the stairs. Rather than a conversation, it was more like a couple kissing. Zihang. Zihang. Yun Jian could tell that it was Qi Xiaoxiao's voice that came from her. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows. She leaned against the wall and hid by the staircase, squinting her eyes to look. At the staircase, Qi Xiaoxiao was hugging Lin Zihang and the two of them were kissing happily. He was really thirsty. Yun Jian sneered silently. In this era, there weren't many surveillance cameras installed in hotels, at least not here. Moreover, the staircase where Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang were kissing had no windows. It was dark and gloomy, so not many people used it. Xiaoxiao. Lin Zihang's hand had already reached into Qi Xiaoxiao's clothes naughtily. Don't. Qi Xiaoxiao moaned coyly. The voice sent chills down Yun Jian's spine. Yun Jian squinted when she saw Qi Xiaoxiao stop Lin Zihang's hand and said shyly to him, Zihang, we're already like this. When are you going to get engaged to me? Yun Jian raised a brow. Chapter 1262. Yun Jian could clearly feel Qi Xiaoxiao's shock at Lin Zihang's sudden change in attitude. After all, Qi Xiaoxiao was dating Lin Zihang with the goal of marrying him. Zihang, what did you say? Didn't I already do it with you? Why are you going back on your words? Didn't you say before? Qi Xiaoxiao was dumbfounded. She thought she would really marry Prosperous Fountain Company's young master, Lin Zihang, like what her classmates said. Before? What did I say before? Lin Zihang refused to admit it. Initially, Lin Zihang could still say a few words to coax Qi Xiaoxiao, but when Qi Xiaoxiao said that he would foot the bill for today's class reunion, Lin Zihang changed his mind completely. That wasn't a small sum. What right did she have to make the decision for him? Did she really think that she was his housekeeper? Lin Zihang was thoroughly enraged. But didn't we already? You said that as long as I'm with you, you'll treat me well. What's yours is mine. Qi Xiaoxiao was stunned by Lin Zihang's words. While they were still arguing, Yun Jian had returned to the sink. Just as she did so, Chen Xinyi's screams came from the washroom. Jian, I didn't bring any tissues. What should I do? Jian, can you help me ask the front desk if there are any tissues? We can see the front desk if we go down the stairs. Chen Xinyi was upset as she squatted in the washroom and shouted at Yun Jian with her hands covering her face. Okay. Yun Jian nodded faintly. Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang were still arguing by the stairs. Overall, Lin Zihang had the upper hand. Lin Zihang pinched Qi Xiaoxiao's chin and told her, I'm just interested in you and your F***king taking advantage of me. Do you think I have to marry you just because we've slept together a few times? I've always been the one leading you in bed like a dead fish. If you know what's good for you, be good and don't be so shameless. I can still give you face and play with you for a while. Otherwise, I'll make you look bad today. Lin Zihang said fiercely to Qi Xiao. He had exposed his viciousness in its original form. Revealing his true colors was nothing more than this. Qi Xiao was shocked by Lin Zihang's ugliness. She originally thought that the matter of her becoming the Madam of Prosperous Fountain Company was already set in stone. Now that she had bragged, how was she going to face others in the future? Lin Zihang, how could you do this? You didn't say that before. You said that as long as I was with you, you would treat me well for the rest of my life. You still dare to say that you? Qi Xiao had only just finished her sentence. Lin Zihang didn't even have time to interrupt Qi Xiao. At this moment, a figure silently passed by the two of them. Yun Jian didn't make any sound as she stepped on the stairs. She walked past Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang as if she didn't hear their heated conversation and headed downstairs. Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang were arguing just now and Yun Jian didn't make any sound when she walked. Thus, the two of them only noticed Yun Jian when she appeared in front of them. Especially when it was dark on the stairs, Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang were so shocked that they almost fell down when they saw Yun Jian. At this moment, Yun Jian had already walked past Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang and was about to head down the stairs. Qi Xiao finally saw Yun Jian clearly. When she saw that this person was actually Yun Jian, she was so shocked that her face turned pale. Lin Zihang was also shocked. Nobody wanted their scandals to be spread. Especially people like Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang who were prideful. Yun Jian. Stop right there. Qi Xiao shouted at Yun Jian after she saw her clearly. Did Yun Jian hear my conversation with Lin Zihang just now? How much did she hear? Yun Jian didn't bother with Qi Xiao. This time, Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang rushed down together and blocked Yun Jian's path. Qi Xiao even pointed at Yun Jian and said, Yun Jian, stop right there. I told you to stop right there. No one can order me around. Yun Jian suddenly looked sideways at Qi Xiao. Her sharp eyes were filled with murderous intent. Yun Jian's words made Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang tremble. Chapter 1263. Yun Jian's sudden words made Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang tremble. You, what did you say? Qi Xiao was shocked by Yun Jian's words. Qi Xiao took 2 steps back at the thought that Yun Jian was an advanced special forces soldier. But very quickly, Qi Xiao was afraid that her scandal with Lin Zihang would be exposed and she was even more afraid that she had bragged in front of everyone. Many people even said that she could become the future madam of Xingyuan Company. But in such a short time, Lin Zihang didn't want her anymore. That wasn't the main point. The main point was that Lin Zihang wasn't tired of her. This meant that if Qi Xiao didn't say anything, no one would know. But she had just bragged in front of so many people and Yun Jian had seen it. Yun Jian heard what she said. How much did she hear? How was she going to face others if this got out? Yun Jian, what did you hear? Let me tell you, my boyfriend is the young master of Xingyuan Company. If you dare to say a word about what you just heard, I'll make sure you're in big trouble. Qi Xiao was obviously scared to death. If people found out that she had slept with Lin Zihang, the main thing was that Lin Zihang didn't want to marry her anymore. If this got out, she would lose all her face. She would definitely be done for. When people talked about her, they would only say that she was a slut. She didn't know how to behave at such a young age. Qi Xiao was afraid, so she stopped Yun Jian from going downstairs, not allowing Yun Jian to go downstairs. Yun Jian glanced at Qi Xiao. Yun Jian was taller and slimmer than Qi Xiao. Qi Xiao was also a little chubby. Lin Zihang stood in the dark corridor of the staircase and couldn't see Yunjian's face clearly, but he knew that Yunjian wasn't bad just by looking at Yunjian's figure. That playboy aura of his was aroused again. Of course, Lin Zihang didn't want his scandal to be exposed. If his father found out that he was fooling around with a woman like Qi Xiaoxiao, his pocket money would be deducted in the future. Thus, Lin Zihang stopped Yunjian from going downstairs and said to Qi Xiaoxiao while panting, "You don't want others to know either, right? Then come over here and help me record it. I'm going to F***ck her right here. Then she's in the same boat as us." Lin Zihang stretched out his hand and threw the phone to Qi Xiaoxiao, thinking that he was suave. Current cell phones didn't have the ability to record, but they already had the ability to record. "What, you?" Qi Xiaoxiao didn't expect Lin Zihang to say something like that. She was stunned. What else can we do? This was the best way to seal this woman's mouth. "Qi Xiaoxiao, hurry up!" Lin Zihang roared. Qi Xiaoxiao gritted her teeth. She also felt that this was probably the best way. At this moment, Lin Zihang had already lunged towards Yunjian. Needless to say, Lin Zihang's idea was the safest. If it had been any other girl today, she would have been completely ruined by Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang. Fortunately, the person standing here today was Yunjian. Yunjian narrowed her eyes. There was no light here and she could feel Lin Zihang's hand reaching towards her. Yunjian dodged to the side gently. Then, she kicked Lin Zihang's abdomen and stomped him to the ground. She didn't even lift a finger. She stomped Lin Zihang's body to the ground with her foot alone. The entire process took less than 2 seconds. Even in the dark, Lin Zihang was shocked by Yunjian's skills. Qi Xiaoxiao suddenly remembered that Yunjian was an advanced special forces soldier. In the next second, she heard Yunjian's eerie voice clearly. "Ha, it's so quiet here and no one's walking around. If I kill you now, cut your bodies into 8 pieces and throw them into a gunny sack and throw them into the stream, will anyone discover your bodies?" Yunjian's words were terrifying, especially with her skills and in this dark environment. Chapter 1264. Yunjian didn't waste any more time with Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang. She didn't intend to bother anyway. Besides, Chen Sini was still waiting for her in the toilet. After Yunjian finished her sentence, she walked downstairs lazily with her hands in her pockets as if nothing had happened. Qi Xiaoxiao was shocked. Her hands were unsteady just now and she accidentally dropped Lin Zihang's phone on the floor. However, both Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang weren't paying attention to this. They were more concerned about whether Yunjian would reveal what she said just now. Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang didn't say anything as they watched Yunjian walk down the stairs towards the front desk on the first floor. After a while, Lin Zihang shouted angrily at Qi Xiaoxiao, "Hurry and help me up. It hurts so much." Damn it. Qi Xiaoxiao was so shocked that she quickly ran over to help Lin Zihang up. After all, Qi Xiaoxiao had to coax Lin Zihang so that her days of being admired would last longer. After helping Lin Zihang up, Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang quickly walked towards the room where their classmates were. Although they were afraid that Yunjian would reveal what she saw just now, Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang were more afraid that Yunjian would go back first. Because at least if they went back first, even if Yunjian wanted to talk nonsense, she wouldn't be able to prove it. For the next period of time, Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang were in a state of tension. When the classmates talked to Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang, they could clearly feel that Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang were distracted. Because they didn't know what was going on, the classmates didn't pay much attention to it. Until Yunjian and Chen Sini returned from the toilet, Qi Xiaoxiao and Lin Zihang didn't even bother to be polite with their classmates. Their eyes were constantly on Yunjian. Yun Jian and Chen Xinyi had just returned to their seats when Zhang Xiaofeng's scolding voice was heard. Damn, Xinyi, why did you take so long to go to the toilet? I almost thought you fell into a pit. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll beat you up. When Chen Xinyi heard this, she was a little petty. She immediately clenched her fist and puckered her lips as she lightly punched Zhang Xiaofeng. Zhang Xiaofeng laughed as he grabbed Chen Xinyi's fist that was coming at him. He then continued to tease her. Take it easy, I'm not the same as before. Right now, I have the ultimate technique that Master personally imparted to me. Ha ha ha. With that, Zhang Xiaofeng even waved his hand, pretending to be very domineering. Of course, Zhang Xiaofeng was simply joking. It was just the kind of playful banter between acquaintances. Chen Xinyi was amused by Zhang Xiaofeng's actions. Even Yun Jian's lips curled into a smile. Xiao, why are you looking at Yun Jian over there? A girl from the next table asked in a strange tone. Suddenly, there was the sound of chopsticks falling to the ground, followed by the sound of Qi Xiao's messy hands and feet. No, I just think she looks especially good today. I wonder what foundation she's wearing today, haha. From her voice, one could tell that Qi Xiao was in a panic. The more Yun Jian pretended that nothing had happened, the more Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang were afraid that she had ulterior motives. However, in reality, Yun Jian didn't want to care about what had just happened. I don't wear makeup. Yun Jian's cold voice was heard. Her voice was icy, sending chills down one's spine. Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang shivered at the same time. Chapter 1265. The awkward atmosphere from before had been resolved by Lin Yaqian. Everyone had already finished eating. Now, they stood up and walked out of the hotel with their friends. Yun Jian, Chen Xinyi, and the other two girls exited the hotel as well. Qi Xiao and Lin Zihang walked out of the hotel arm in arm. However, it wasn't hard to tell that they had a lot on their minds just by looking at their expressions. It's not too far to walk to the racecourse from here. We'll be there in about 20 minutes, Lin Yaqian said methodically as she stood in front of everyone. Our study committee member has spoken. Let's follow her, aha. A few of the more mischievous boys chimed in when they heard Lin Yaqian. Although it was a class reunion, it was mostly a gathering of friends who got along well with them. They were separated into twos and threes, but they were all going to the same place. Yun Jian, Chen Xinyi, Zhang Xiaofeng, and Ling Yichen were close friends, so they went together. Just as they stepped out of the hotel, Yun Jian saw a familiar figure at the entrance. It was Qing Yu. It was obvious that Qing Yu was here for Yun Jian. Yun Jian's lips curled as she went over. Sister Jian, Qing Yu called out to Yun Jian when she saw her. Yun Jian saw Qing Yu as well. She was pulling on a rope that was tied around Gu Nianji's hands, who stood not too far away. Gu Nianji stood on the side with a pout as her hands were tied up. When she saw Yun Jian, Gu Nianji told Yun Jian angrily. Yun Jian, I won't kill you. Let me go. This rope is tied up like I'm a prisoner. I'm a formidable character who can scare a lot of people to death back where I come from. How am I supposed to face this? As she spoke, Gu Nianji tugged on the rope with both hands. Ever since Gu Nianji failed to assassinate Yun Jian the last time, she had completely given up on trying to assassinate Yun Jian. Yun Jian was too strong. She couldn't beat her at all. Therefore, Gu Nianji wanted to return to the Yulong continent. After all, she was from the Yulong continent and was an assassin there. If Gu Nianji had to choose, she wouldn't have been so stupid as to tear up the notice on the billboard and come to Earth to assassinate Yun Jian for the generous reward. She regretted it so much. Where was the medicine for regret? She would definitely be the first to buy it. Seeing that someone had suddenly appeared and was looking for Yun Jian, some of the students who were walking past turned their heads to look at Yunjian. After all, his classmates had been paying close attention to him. Especially when Gu Nianji was tied up by Qin Yu, it was too eye-catching. However, when they heard what Gu Nianji said to Yunjian, the boys and girls who were about to walk past them all stopped in their tracks. One of the female students was even quicker than Yunjian when she asked Gu Nianji, "You want to kill Yunjian?" "Murder? Are you kidding me? Or was he acting?" Murder is against the law. Of course, normal people would be shocked to hear what Gu Nianji said. Especially students of this age who were usually more free and lazy, the students who passed by Yunjian stopped to look at Gu Nianji and Yunjian. "The problem is that I can't beat Yunjian. I can't kill her," Gu Nianji said innocently, as if she did not feel that murder was wrong. Gu Nianji, who came from the Yulong continent, was just like Lan Su back then. She knew nothing about Earth. Gu Nianji then turned to look at Yunjian. "Yunjian, let me go. Look at how long Qin Yu's been keeping me locked up. It's so rare for me to get some sunlight today. I feel like I'm turning into a vampire." The surrounding students could not understand what Gu Nianji and Yunjian were saying. In spite of it, a lot of students had shifted their attention to Yunjian. The more they could not understand, the more interested they were. Chapter 1266. Then, Yunjian reached out to ruffle Gu Nianji's raven hair. She smiled and took 2 steps forward. Then, she paused and turned to look at Qin Yu. "Both of you, come with us." Qin Yu nodded and followed Yunjian with the rope that bound Gu Nianji's hands. Gu Nianji pouted but eventually followed Yunjian with Qin Yu. Halfway through, Qin Yu paused to ruffle Gu Nianji's head like Yunjian and lowered her head to tease her softly by her ear. "Silly Nian Nian." Then, Qin Yu suppressed her laughter and followed Yunjian. Gu Nianji was speechless. Did she want to die? Why were both of them bullying her? The group of students standing behind him were all dumbfounded. What was going on? Why were Gu Nianji and Yunjian speaking in such a profound manner? Why did it feel like the two of them were deliberately putting on a show for their classmates to get everyone's attention? Some of the students felt disgusted. They thought that Yunjian was doing this on purpose to get everyone's attention. However, no one exposed her or showed their emotions on their faces. Yunjian's class reunion was also considered a graduation ceremony. Not only were the students from the same class able to attend, but students from other classes and even those who were not from Longmen High School could attend as well. Therefore, it did not matter if Qin Yu and Gu Nianji were there as well. Qin Yu brought Gu Nianji out for a walk today, but she knew that Yunjian's class was having a reunion, so she brought Gu Nianji along to join in the fun. Let's go, let's go. We have to hurry. It's best to get to the racecourse before 12:50 p.m. because we have to pick our favorite horses when we get there later. There'll be a horse race in the afternoon too. Lin Yaqian walked at the front, like a tour guide, leading everyone forward. One had to admit that Lin Yaqian's arrangement was very appropriate. Especially when they were in school, Lin Yaqian, as the study committee member, had displayed extraordinary organizational skills. Therefore, everyone was more than happy to listen to Lin Yaqian's arrangement. Soon, Yunjian and the others arrived at the racecourse. When they arrived at the stud farm, the first thing they saw was the old man who raised the horses. The old man's surname was Zhang. He was already in his 50s or 60s. He had been raising horses for nearly 30 to 40 years. It could be said that he had been focusing on raising horses since he was 16 or 17 years old. He knew horses very well. Right now, Uncle Zhang was helping to manage the entire horse farm. Lin Zihang obviously knew Uncle Zhang, so Lin Zihang said a few words to Uncle Zhang in a very smug manner. Then, Uncle Zhang led everyone to choose a horse. Xiao Jian, what horse do you want to pick? Chen Sini was excited as she tugged at Yun Jian and asked Yun Jian. This type of horse can't fly, so I'm not riding it. Gu Nianji glared at the people who were choosing horses in disdain. All the horses in the Yulong continent could fly. She didn't want this kind of horse. Yun Jian curled her lips slightly. I think this horse isn't bad. It's sturdy and strong. It'll definitely run the fastest. I'll choose it. Zhang Xiaofeng was already in front of a horse. He untied the black horse's leash and said, "Let's go." Pfft. A chuckle from a boy suddenly rang out. The guy who suddenly laughed was not Yun Jian's classmate. He was probably a friend or relative who had come with one of his classmates. After he was done laughing, he started mocking Zhang Xiaofeng. Chapter 1267. The man spoke in an absolute tone, and his words were full of arrogance. The boy was about 17 or 18 years old. He looked like a high school student, and he should be a relative or friend of one of Yun Jian's classmates. After the boy finished speaking, someone immediately said, "Wow, you're Kai Lin's cousin, Kai Yi, right?" When the boy, Kai Yi, heard that someone actually knew him, he nodded very proudly and said, "Yes." "Hey, so you're the cousin who's very good at horse racing that our classmate Kai Lin mentioned. I also heard that you once participated in that provincial horse racing competition and even won the second prize." The classmate who asked Kai Yi just now heard that he was the legendary horse racing master that he had heard of before. Especially now that the horse racing was about to take place, this person worshipped Kai Yi even more. "Hey, I only won the second prize. As long as you persevere like me and race every day for 3 years, it's something that anyone can do." Kai Yi still felt that he didn't have enough firepower, so he said very modestly. Sometimes, the more modest the words were, the more high-profile they were. Kai Yi was so modest just to show off his high profile, that was all. Kai Yi's words were heard by more students around him. Therefore, the students praised him one after another. So amazing. Look, people who are amazing are also trained. It's 3 years, and he can persevere like this. He's really amazing. I really admire him. He can be called the school's most handsome guy. The surrounding students began to talk about it, which made Kai Yi even more arrogant. It was as if he was really an amazing person. On this side, Zhang Xiaofeng was angry, but Yun Jian walked to the horse group. She narrowed her eyes and reached out to untie a horse tied to a wooden pole. "I'll choose this one." Hey, little girl, this horse is not easy to control. This horse is the fiercest horse here. Anyone who gets on its back will fall off in less than 3 seconds. Only the top horse trainer can barely ride on its back. If you get on it, you'll break your leg. When Uncle Zhang saw Yun Jian untie the horse, he hurriedly ran over to stop her. "Uncle Zhang, why don't I try to tame this horse? Although I'm not the best, I've been learning for 3 years." When Kai Yi heard Uncle Zhang's words, he suppressed the restlessness in his heart and walked over to Uncle Zhang from afar. "This." Uncle Zhang revealed a troubled expression. "Uncle Zhang, don't worry. I can definitely do it," Kai Yi said very confidently. He was just waiting to shine in front of everyone. "Okay." Uncle Zhang was silent for 2 seconds before he nodded in agreement. Yun Jian didn't say anything. She just stood there and watched Kai Yi lead the horse in front of everyone. Because of Uncle Zhang's words, the surrounding people tensed up and looked over. Uncle Zhang said that this horse could only be tamed by a top-notch horse trainer. Kai Yi's current actions were obviously a challenge to tame this ferocious horse. Therefore, the surrounding people were attracted over. At the same time, each of them nervously looked at the scene that was about to happen in front of them. Kai felt that the surrounding people were sizing him up. He couldn't wait to show off even more. Therefore, Kai simply grabbed the reins and forcefully stepped on the stirrups to sit on the back of this ferocious horse. Just as he sat on the back of this ferocious horse, the horse roared and shook crazily. Kai was stunned for a few seconds. He desperately grabbed the reins, but in less than 3 seconds, he was thrown to the ground by the horse. Kai endured the pain and quickly stood up. Then, in order to not embarrass himself, he deliberately explained, "This horse is really a ferocious horse. I don't think anyone here can tame it." Just as he said this, everyone saw a small figure flash in front of everyone. They saw Yunjian quickly step forward. She used 3 seconds to rush to the front of the horse from afar. Then, she fiercely kicked her legs and directly flipped over. She didn't even need to step on the stirrups and directly got on the back of the horse. Then, in the same second, she reached out and grabbed the reins of the horse. The moment the horse roared crazily, she grabbed the reins and used the reins to restrain the restless horse in the shortest time possible, until the horse was completely quiet and tamed by her. Chapter 1268. Yunjian's words were loud and clear. Her voice echoed throughout the hall and everyone was stunned. She actually rode on the back of this horse. Didn't they say that this horse was wild? Didn't they say that only the best horse trainers could tame it? Some students stared blankly as Yunjian mounted the horse. Especially when Kai was thrown off the horse in less than 3 seconds, no one doubted that this was a wild horse. What kind of capability did Yunjian have to be able to do what she did just now to be able to ride such a dark horse? A few of the boys who had their limelight stolen by Kai just now and were still holding a grudge saw this and clapped their hands and shouted, "Good, good. Yunjian, good job. You didn't embarrass our class A." Even though everyone had graduated, they still referred to each other as their class. Kai wasn't from their class, so the boys in Year 3 Class A were extremely displeased when they saw Kai and Lin Zihang being called by their classmates and showing off at their graduation ceremony. They just didn't show it on their faces. When Kai fell off the horse just now, the boys in Yunjian's class wanted to clap and cheer, but they didn't show it directly. Yunjian got on the horse after Kai fell off because he couldn't control it. This action was like giving Kai a big slap in the face. Therefore, the group of boys in the class cheered and howled. They were so excited that they couldn't control themselves. Kai was in a hurry to get up just now to explain himself, but he ended up being bullied by Yunjian. His expression darkened instantly. "Cousin." At this moment, Kai's cousin, Kai Lin, walked up to Kai and handed him a few tissues. Kai Lin was Yunjian's classmate and Kai was here today because of Kai Lin's invitation. After Kai Lin walked over and handed the tissues to Kai, she turned around and looked at the crowd. At the same time, she glared fiercely at Yunjian from the corner of her eye and said, "It's nothing to be able to ride a horse. Horse racing is all about skill. My cousin's horse racing skills were once praised by a national horse racing coach. That coach once represented country Z in an international competition. I heard that he even won a grand prize." Kai Lin said it in a very high-profile manner. She didn't believe that Yunjian was an advanced special forces soldier. This was already unbelievable. Could she be an all-round secret agent? Just like the secret agents in the movies who could blend in with all kinds of professionals without being discovered. Was she an extremely powerful existence? Pfft, wasn't this a joke? How old was she? Kai Lin was very unhappy. She had been unhappy with Yunjian for a long time. That's amazing. Immediately, some girls began to chime in. "Oh my God, he is so awesome. He was praised by a national horse racing coach." The girls began to grit their teeth again. At this moment, Yun Jian had already firmly restrained the horse. She pulled the reins and led the horse to Gu Nianji with ease. She didn't care what the people around her were saying. Yun Jian merely smiled and hooked her index finger at Gu Nianji, saying, "I'll give you a chance to set you free as long as you choose a horse to race against me." Yun Jian's words successfully attracted everyone's attention. Gu Nianji made an exaggerated expression when she was called and pointed at the horses before saying, "What, you want me to use this inferior horse that can't fly to race against you? Are you kidding me?" Yun Jian and Gu Nianji's conversation shocked everyone. Chapter 1269. Kai Lin had one or two friends with her as well. It was easy for girls to get jealous, especially after what Yun Jian had just done and said. She had attracted everyone's attention. Therefore, after Kai Lin finished speaking, a few girls immediately followed suit and pointed at Yun Jian, Gu Nianji, and Qing Yu. Yun Jian pretended not to hear them. She stared at Gu Nianji, the curve of her lips clearly visible. Girls were mostly just talking to other girls. Seeing that Yun Jian was not listening, Kai Lin and the girls around her could only give up. Gu Nianji felt uncomfortable being stared at by Yun Jian. In the end, Gu Nianji looked at Yun Jian awkwardly and stammered, "Will you really set me free if I win? I'll only give you one chance. I won't wait for it after that." Yun Jian crossed her arms and looked at Gu Nianji without saying a word. "Fine. Let's compete. Although this horse is a little low class, Gu Nianji, don't want to be tied up like a prisoner again." Gu Nianji narrowed her eyes. "You two young ladies want to compete in horse racing?" Uncle Zhang walked up to Yun Jian and Gu Nianji and asked kindly. Yun Jian answered. "Young ladies, this is the only racetrack we have here. I'm sure all of you youngsters would want to race, and you don't have much time. Let's see if it's a 5-person race. You two young ladies can still compete." Uncle Zhang opened his mouth to explain. There was only one racetrack here. If these 40 to 50 students from Yun Jian's class and their friends and relatives wanted to race one-on-one, there would not be enough time in the afternoon. Although many of them could not even make the horse run while riding, since the students were all here, they would definitely want everyone to experience the feeling of horse racing. "I have no objections." Yun Jian didn't have any objections because she only wanted to race with Gu Nianji. It had nothing to do with her if someone else got involved. Good. Then we'll add 3 more people for the first round of horse racing. Who wants to participate in the first round? Uncle Zhang heaved a sigh of relief and said to the crowd. "Sister Jian, you two have fun. I won't join in the fun." Qing Yu loosened her grip on Gu Nianji's arm easily. Finally untied, Gu Nianji stretched lazily. "I'll do it." Kai Yi's voice rang out. Then, Kai Yi walked over to them. "Are there any other 2 students who want to compete in the first round? Why don't you come together?" Uncle Zhang nodded towards Kai Yi and said. In the end, 2 boys who didn't know how to ride horses were pushed out. It could be said that the 2 of them had never seen a live horse before, let alone know how to ride one. However, the 2 of them were still brave enough to stand out and give it a try. This was worthy of praise. Thus, Yun Jian, Gu Nianji, Kai Yi, and the 2 male students each pulled their chosen horses and lined up side by side at the starting line of the horse racing venue. They were ready. "Cousin, do your best. You're the best. First place will definitely be yours." Kai Lin stood a distance away and cheered with her hands cupped around her mouth. Hearing his cousin's words, Kai Yi's nervousness calmed down instantly. Speaking of which, Yun Jian was just an ordinary junior high school graduate. Even if she had suppressed the wild horse just now, what did that mean? Thinking of this, Kai Yi turned to lecture Yun Jian and Gu Nianji to calm himself down. Chapter 1270. Not only was Kai Yi lecturing Yun Jian and Gu Nianji directly, it sounded like he was boasting when he said it. He said that he would not let Yun Jian and Gu Nianji win because of his love for horse racing. The reason was very valid. Kai Yi's words indirectly implied that he would definitely win against Yun Jian and Gu Nianji. Yun Jian merely scoffed at Kai Yi's words. Gu Nianji scratched her head and thought to herself, how can there be such a dumb fool on this earth? Is he really dumb or just pretending to be dumb? How dare he say such things in front of her and Yun Jian? Other things aside, Gu Nianji knew that Yun Jian was someone with real ability. At least, it was an indisputable fact that she could not defeat Yun Jian. That was why she was now Yun Jian's captive. Kai Yi coughed dryly when he saw that Yun Jian and Gu Nianji were ignoring him. He was obviously embarrassed. However, the cheers of the girls around him boosted Kai Yi's confidence. The girls around him were shouting. Hey, don't you think this guy is handsome? He is. Didn't Kai Lin say that he won a prize in a provincial horse race? I think he'll be the champion this time. Of course. The people outside had no idea what was happening here. At the same time, in Yun Jian and Siyi's house, Siyi was sitting in the study. Shuang and Mo Sen, who had returned to Hun's headquarters, stood before him. Shuang took a step forward with a frown and told Siyi, young master, Lin Wei has brought people from the organization here. Their destination is the racecourse in the outskirts of Longmen City. Siyi raised a brow, obviously unaware that Yun Jian was at the racecourse. Siyi raised a brow and paused before he smirked. No matter what the remnants of the former Inferno Ring are here for, none of them must be left alive today. Yes. Young master. Yes. Young master. Shuang and Mo Sen nodded after listening. It's about to start. I don't have a whistle here, so I'll use this red flag as a whistle. Once I wave this red flag, the match will begin, Uncle Zhang explained as he stood beside the starting line. No one felt that Uncle Zhang's words were inappropriate. Thus, Kai Yi and the other two quickly prepared themselves for a tense mental state. On the other hand, Yun Jian and Gu Nianji looked relaxed. They didn't look like they were about to compete at all. Seeing this, Kai Yi sneered again and muttered in his heart, that's right. He didn't even feel nervous before the race, and he still wanted to race. It would be strange if he could win. Get ready, everyone. Get ready. Uncle Zhang raised the red flag high and started counting down. Hearing Uncle Zhang's voice, Kai Yi's heart tightened again. He would definitely win, definitely. He even got a place in the Zhe province's horse race. How could he not win against two girls? As for the other two boys, there was no need to even mention them. Just as Kai Yi thought of this, Uncle Zhang roared, begin. At the same time, Uncle Zhang waved the small red flag in his hand. It was only then that Kai Yi tightened his grip on the reins. Just as he was about to whip the horse to get it to run, two silhouettes suddenly appeared. Two silhouettes who were much faster than him were already galloping toward the racecourse on horseback. Seeing this, Kai Yi even forgot to whip the horse to gallop as he watched the two silhouettes gallop away in a daze. The crowd from afar saw it as well. Under Uncle Zhang's command, the two silhouettes galloped away on their horses like lightning. Those who mocked Yun Jian and Gu Nianji in the beginning widened their eyes in bewilderment. Chapter 1271. Kai Yi was stunned from the start as he stood rooted to the ground with the whip in his hand. It was only when Yun Jian and Gu Nianji were 10 meters away that Kai Yi snapped back to his senses. He immediately chased after them with the whip in his hand. As for the other two boys, because they had never learned how to race horses, the two of them grabbed the reins and pulled. They accidentally drove the horses to a place that was not the racetrack and completely deviated from the racetrack. Of course, none of the students present paid any attention to the two boys. From the moment Yunjian and Gu Nianji charged out of the starting line and left Kai Yi in the dust, everyone knew that Kai Yi would definitely lose this round. The key now lay in the outcome of Yunjian and Gu Nianji's victory. Of course, at the beginning, it did give everyone a shock. No one had expected Yunjian and Gu Nianji to be so good at it. He actually rushed out of the starting line right from the start and left Kai Yi in the dust right from the start. Oh my god, Yunjian and that girl are amazing. Someone began to shout as they watched Yunjian and Gu Nianji charge out. Don't forget that Yunjian is an advanced special forces soldier. She's the slayer of Team Monarch. Someone reminded. The people around them shrieked and exclaimed for Yunjian when they heard it. At that moment, everyone's attention was on Yunjian and Gu Nianji from afar. There was an endless stream of cheers and screams. Kai Lin's face immediately turned pale. How was that possible? How could her cousin, Kai Yi, lose to Yunjian and that girl? Look! There! Someone shouted, pointing at Yunjian and Gu Nianji's departing figures. Everyone turned to look. They saw Yunjian holding on to the reins and gradually leaving Gu Nianji behind. Gu Nianji was having a hard time chasing after her. However, it was not hard to tell that Gu Nianji was not to be underestimated. Oh my god, I've been at the racecourse for 30 to 40 years. This is the first time I've seen such an exciting race. Even Uncle Zhang couldn't help but grab the red flag that was used as a whistle to prepare for the start. His entire body tensed up. After all, Uncle Zhang was a professional, so when the people around him heard Uncle Zhang's words, their hearts tightened at this moment. If even Uncle Zhang said so, then how incredible were Yunjian and Gu Nianji. When they were about to reach the finish line, Yunjian and Gu Nianji had maintained their pace one after the other. In the last 10 seconds of the sprint, Yunjian suddenly grabbed the reins and sped up. Gu Nianji had already reached her limit and could no longer speed up. In the last few seconds, Yunjian reached the finish line 5 seconds faster than Gu Nian. As soon as she crossed the finish line, Yunjian jumped. The horse was still galloping. Her jump was a very dangerous move, but Yunjian was able to do it smoothly. With a leap, Yunjian landed on the flat ground and grabbed the reins to rein the wild horse that was about to gallop away. In at most 3 seconds, she had completed this series of actions. Gu Nianji pulled the reins and slowly slowed the horse down from the finish line. By the time Gu Nianji stopped, Yunjian was already looking at her with narrowed eyes. Gu Nianji also jumped off the horse's back. Both of them were very agile and did not match the age of a teenage girl. Everyone around them was dumbfounded. However, they saw Gu Nianji take 2 steps toward Yunjian. She laughed and said to Yunjian, "I admit defeat. Yunjian, from today onwards, Gu Nianji, will work for you. Will you take me in?" You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.